Hello and welcome to the Video Game Flashback Podcast. I am your host, Palladino Joey, or Joey Awajan. Video Game Flashback is available on all of your favorite podcasting apps and is now on YouTube Music. So that's an announcement we can say. YouTube Music now also houses Video Game Flashback. So really exciting in that sense to kind of have another tentacle to the show to hopefully help it grow. It's a great pleasure. Thank you once and always for downloading and listening to the show. It is a great pleasure to be back on board with you once again today. Today, this is going to be a real treat. A game that turned 30 years of age last year, and I wish I did the review last year for that purpose, but it's okay. Here we are. This one is one of my all-time favorites. We are shifting to the Game Boy now. Finally shifting to the Game Boy, to portable gaming, and arguably the best portable game system of all time. Certainly the top-selling one of all time. That came out in 1989, of course. But today we're talking about a game that came out in 1993, a series of games that I've already done a few of. So we are going to jump into The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening. This game came as an absolute surprise. I still remember seeing the commercials in 1993, like like the Zelda rap, whatever, that kind of stuff. And I was thinking, oh, they're advertising Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past. Yeah, it didn't come out that long ago, and they're still advertising for it. And then all of a sudden, I'm at Target. I look at they have games on display. They have the Game Boys. I believe they had 2 Game Boys around. They had a Super Nintendo, a Sega Genesis, with the monitor and such. Where the Game Boys obviously didn't have a monitor. And then I look at it, and I'm like, what the heck? That's Link. They made a Zelda game for Game Boy? I was just shocked. I couldn't believe it, and I bought it immediately. And back then, I didn't have much money, because we're talking 1993. So in 93, I was 16? No, not 16. I was a lot younger than that. I was 14. So I turned 14 around that time, and I couldn't believe it. Like right away, I put it in, started off the game, and you have no sword. And I kept being confused what the heck to do, this and that. There were sea urchins in the way. How do you get past them? I must have died like 15 times running into the sea urchins. And then it turns out that the shield, you're supposed to push them with the shield. So it's kind of a different game at the beginning, a little bit different style. But at the end of the day, it ended up being my favorite Game Boy game of all time, either this one or Final Fantasy Adventure. This ended up, but it did end up being my favorite Zelda game of all time, no doubt about it. A very special game at the end of the day. The replay value on it is all time. I could pop this in and play it pretty much any time, but I tend to particularly like this one in either spring or fall. It seems to come in good at like March, October, because it kind of has that look. It just kind of has that vibe, like spring or fall. Like you go in the forest, you think of fall, and a lot of the other part of the game, maybe like the birds and all that stuff, you think of springtime. Like the eagle and all that. You think of eagles coming in springtime and such. That's a little weird at the end of the day, but that's where we're going to go with as to why I like it. It's kind of a vibe, I've always been that way. So the game came out in Japan on June 6, 1993, came to North America on August 6, 1993. For some reason, I thought it came out in like April or something, but I guess it was late summer. Maybe I had birthday money or something. That might be why I was able to buy it so quickly. And it came out in the European Union on December 1st, 1993. Many years later, it came out on the Game Boy Color in Japan, December 12th, 98. North America, December 15th, 98. European Union, New Year's Day, 1999. Okay, so when this came out on the Game Boy Color, I was absolutely thrilled. I couldn't believe it. I was so excited. Like I could finally see this game in color. I'd seen it on the Super Game Boy. It's like, yay, you have 4 colors, and everything's like red, everything's green, everything's this or that. It looked okay, but it certainly wasn't super exciting. But when it came out, obviously, again, quite a thrill. And again, it ended up being my favorite Zelda game of all time, which I'm probably in the minority. People might pick Zelda 1, people might pick Ocarina of Time, which I don't know why you do that. For me, Legend of Zelda is a two-dimensional bird's-eye view type of game, or maybe a side-scroller like Zelda 2, which I enjoyed very much doing the review a year ago. Last spring. Really enjoyed that late winter, early spring type of game, which I guess this one is going to take over the reins this year, probably Zelda 1 next year. And then unfortunately, that'll be the end of the quadrilogy of my favorite Zelda games. Eventually, I'll get to Oracle of Ages and Oracle of Seasons. I don't see myself getting into Oracle of Time or Majora's Mask or any of those. We'll see. I doubt it. But I don't have the Switch, so I don't have the modern version of this game either. So we'll see. It looks promising and such. Now we're going to refer to Wikipedia once again. The developer is Nintendo EAD, publisher Nintendo, director Takeshi Tezuka, producer Shigeru Miyamoto. Shigeru Miyamoto. I mean, yeah, that's legend right there. Designers Yasuhisa Yamamura, programmers Takamitsu Kazuhara, Kazaki Morita, Yoshi, not Yoshi, but Yoshi, Kotabe, that's the artist, excuse me, those are the artists as I'm jumping in now, Masanao Aremoto, and Shigefumi Hino, those are the artists, so great job there. The writers, yep, great storyline, so huge credit to these people. Yoshiaki, pardon me, Koizumi, Kenzuki Tanabe, and then composer Kazumi Totaka, Minako Hamano, and Kazui Ishikawa. Series Legend of Zelda, platforms Game Boy, Game Boy Color, and Game & Watch, and I do have all those versions. I even have the Game & Watch. It's sitting, I thought it was right here. I must have put it in the other room. Whoops, or like in the closet over there. I don't have that many rooms in an apartment. I talked about the release dates for the Game Boy Color and obviously the regular Game Boy. And again, I played it on the Super Game Boy a little bit as well, but it's not as fun or memorable. Much rather play play it on the Game Boy Color nowadays, where you add the feature with the little mouse that takes pictures and such. Kind of fun and not nearly as annoying as the character that wants to take pictures in Earthbound, where it's like every 10 seconds. We'll get to that game someday. What a legendary game it truly is. Legend of Zelda is a 1993 action-adventure game developed and published by Nintendo for the Game Boy. It is the first installment in the Legend of Zelda series for a handheld game console. Link's Awakening is one of the few Zelda games not to take place in the land of Hyrule. No, because it didn't. And it does not feature Princess Zelda or the Triforce Relic. So yes, you're kind of going off of the, you're kind of going off the beaten path here a little bit. Instead, the protagonist, Link, begins the game stranded on Kaholant Island, a place guarded by a whale-like deity called the Windfish. Assuming the role of Link, the player fights monsters and solves puzzles while searching for 8 musical instruments that will awaken the sleeping Windfish and allow him to escape from the island. Him being Link, of course. Development began as an effort to port the Super Nintendo game, the Super Nintendo Entertainment System game, A Link to the Past, to the Game Boy, developed developed after hours by Nintendo staff. It grew into an original project under the direction of Takeshi Tezuka, with a story and script created by Yoshiaki Koizumi and Kensuke Tanabe. The majority of the Link to the Past team reassembled for Link's Awakening, and Tezuka wanted the game world to feel like the television series Twin Peaks. After a development period of 1.5 years, Link's Awakening was released in Japan in June 1993 and worldwide later in the year. Yep, in the European Union and, of course, United States, which obviously is where I hail from and where a lot of you listening may hail from. Some of you may be from Germany and other places, and welcome to the show, of course. Link's Awakening was critically and commercially successful. Critics praised the game's depth and number of features. Complaints focused on its control scheme and monochrome graphics. Well, it wasn't that bad, geez. An updated release, Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX, was released for the Game Boy Color in 1998, featuring color graphics, compatibility with the Game Boy printer, yep, and an exclusive color-based dungeon, which was, yeah, that was really cool. Together, the two versions of the game have sold more than 6 million units worldwide and have appeared on multiple game platform publication lists of the best video games of all time. A definition remake for the Nintendo Switch that was developed by Grezzo and released worldwide in 2019. I can't believe it's that long ago already. The DX version was released as part of the Nintendo Switch Online service in February 2023, so just about a year ago and such. So yes, obviously a game that I obviously hold dear, and I probably said that about 50 times already in a lot of ways. But yep, different versions. The original Game Boy version, straightforward, where the Game Boy Color version, you add the color dungeon, where you actually have to have it on the Game Boy Color to know where the heck you're going and what the heck you're doing. That's the whole point. Like, you could put it in a regular Game Boy, but you wouldn't know where you're going. You have to have the colors to see which direction to go. Otherwise, certain things do not function. And again, they added this little mouse that takes pictures of you throughout the game, like say the chomping character from Super Mario 3 that makes an appearance in the game, looking like he's going to bite Link. Basically, they call him a dog. He's like a dog in the game. I guess the chomp, the chain chomp character from Mario 3 makes an appearance and is a dog. If that's a dog, I'd sure hate to see what a cat looks like. I don't know. What the heck am I talking about? Like most games in the Zelda series, Link's Awakening is an action-adventure game focused on exploration and combat. The majority of the game takes place from an overhead perspective. The player traverses the overworld of Koholint Island while fighting monsters and exploring underground dungeons. Yes, and each dungeon has a different song. So that's another amazing feature in the game. So you'll be hearing those songs throughout this game review. So like in Zelda A Link to the Past, well, let's start with Zelda 1. In Zelda 1, the labyrinths are all the same except for level 9. In Zelda 2, the labyrinths are all the same except for level 7, the Grand Palace or Great Palace. In Zelda 3 or Zelda Link to the Past, I don't know, it's not Zelda 3, the first group of dungeons, like say when you're getting the pendants, have their own, like it's called like ancient ruins or whatever. And then there's the dark palaces or dark place, basically. That's the dark world dungeons or labyrinths, the more kind of pretty much the more crucial ones, where you're trying to go save the maidens who are encased in crystals, and eventually you free them and you're able to get into Ganon's tower in that one. Supposedly A Link to the Past happened way before Zelda 1. That Zelda 1 and Zelda 2 are basically the latest in the series, and that this one is actually after A Link to the Past. It's the same hero from A Link to the Past. As after his adventure, after his saving the world, he went on his own adventure and wound up, being trapped in a storm, stranded on Koholint Island, which of course is a dream, spoiler alert, of the Windfish. And you'll learn more and more of that during this game review, of course. So all kinds of fun and interesting things that can happen. Like you can change the name to of the character to Thief if you actually steal something in the game. But the sad part is if you are successful stealing from the shop in the game, by getting the owner to be looking the other direction as you're running out while carrying the item, which again is a definitely unique thing in this game compared to the previous ones, you can escape, but you'll be called Thief the rest of the game. And if you ever go back to the shop, you're killed. The guy says, I wasn't kidding when I said pay. Now you will pay the ultimate price. So it's kind of like Dracula, like the real Dracula in the real Transylvania, way back in the 1500s, I believe. The only punishment was death. Like if you stole an apple from the market, death. If you murder somebody, death. If you pick up, if you steal from the cash register, so to speak, like whatever a cash register would have been. Like they still had coins and stuff. Death. Yeah, that's kind of what it's like. So kind of funny when you think about that at the end of the day. So with that, let's get to the game. I've probably rambled enough, and I'll do some more of this quote-unquote rambling as I'm playing it. Let's get to Zelda Link's Awakening right after this. What you just heard was the introduction and all of that, when you get to see that Link basically was shipwrecked on an island with a mountain with a large egg on top. So of course you get the idea there. I'm going to play the Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening DX version on the NES Mini. So that's how we're going to go about things. I'm going to play the color version on a TV screen. And then you get to go to the menu screen and enter your name. Oftentimes, I simply just write in Link, capital L, I, and then the regular underscore I and K. So, underscore or whatever you call that at the end of the day. Start off the game, and then you get another song, another introduction song, kind of as the game starts. You'll notice a girl that looks a lot like Zelda and a guy that kind of looks like Mario. So she says, "What a relief. I thought you'd never wake up. You were tossing and turning." What? Zelda? Yeah, she looks like Zelda, but it's not. "No, my name's Marin. I hope I'm saying that correctly. You must still be feeling a little woozy. You are on Caholant Island." So then you just kind of press any button, talk to her, follow the lane south to reach the beach where I found you. Since you washed ashore, lots of nasty monsters have been in the area, so be careful, okay? And then you talk to the Mario-looking guy with the big red nose. Yeah, classic. Well, Link, yeah, and I love this type of conversation. Well, Link, yeah, finally snapped out of it. Name's Tarin. Hope you're feeling better. You're, not your, you are. Or you. Sounds kind of like Baloo in Tailspin, or even in the Jungle Book. And that's, I kind of talk that way myself a little bit without even realizing it. It's just there. Hope you're feeling better. What? How did I know your name? You think it's weird, eh? And I talk like that too. Well, I saw it on back of the shield. Da-da-da-da. Yep, so you're very excited. You got your shield back. Press the button and repel enemies with it, which is a very easy hint. When I still, back in the day when I first played the game, I didn't realize you can push the sea urchins. So, yeah. So now you go out into the overworld, and this is not the overworld song in the whole game. It's just introduction before you get the sword. Enjoy. It's actually a very quaint song, and it does have a very Zelda-ish vibe, and you'll notice again the graphics are similar to what Link to the Past would be, but kind of, downgraded to Game Boy levels, but at least in this version, it's color. And you'll also notice there's a very similar thing very early where it looks like a well that you could jump into. It's just like in Zelda, A Link to the Past. I'm going to have a hell of a time saying these backwards. A Link to the Past, there is a heart piece in there, so we'll get to that later when you can actually cut it. You'll notice two boys that constantly say, I'm just a kid, but they give you all kinds of advice. So yes, like they're saying, you can save the game by pushing all the buttons at once. So start, select, B, and A. You can go to a save screen. So yes, get your two fingers out, well, on each hand. That didn't work out too good. That pulled up that was, okay, I guess maybe I can't do that. I might have to save state to save on this game, because it pulled up the emulator. Oh, that's annoying. Oh, that sucks. That's funny. So I guess I can't on this emulator. So if you're playing on the Game Boy or one that doesn't call up the emulator screen. But like they say, follow the lane south and then just kind of continue as until you get down to the beach. Again, you are defenseless. Actually, you have defense but no offense. Basically, just kind of work your way until you see some sea urchins to get to the beach. I already walked into one. What an idiot. Sorry. Just hold out the shield with the B button, which in this game you can select which weapon you want to use with which button. So you could have the B button attack with a sword, but I'm a traditionalist. Legend of Zelda 1 had the A button use the sword, so I'm going to keep that going. Again, keep working your way through the little path. push the sea urchin out of the way as you notice there's a sword there. Go and pick it up, and now you hear from the owl for the first time, so we get to hear the owl song. Hoot, hoot. So you are the lad who owns the sword. I imagine him kind of having a Scottish accent or something, laddie. Now I understand why the monsters are starting to act so violently. A courageous lad has come to wake the windfish. It is said that you cannot leave the island unless you wake the windfish. You should now go north to the mysterious forest. Does that not sound Scottish? I will be waiting for you there. Hoot, hoot. He probably doesn't have a Scottish accent, but what the hell. Pick up the sword. You get some exciting sound effects and such. And yeah, you hold the sword up. It must be yours because it has your name on it. And then you finally get to hear the overworld song. You also whack the sea urchin really hard. It's so funny. It just happens automatically, like rubbing it in. And then the overworld music plays. So yes, there is your overworld music in all its glory. So also you can press the select button to see the map. And you'll notice there's a lot of gray spots there. Those are areas you've not been yet. So you'll learn more about that in the library, and it's kind of cool. You can also rehear messages that were before, say like the owl, maybe you missed what he said. You can go back to that spot, the owl icon will pop up, and it'll say the exact same message that he said before. You can cancel if you don't want to hear it by pressing the B button, or hear it or read it, actually is more like it. Read it and weep, right? Yeah, I don't want to babble too much and make this show too long, but I recommend kind of going back up to the library where the two boys were playing catch. You can learn some info there. You'll also notice the Octoroks are back, so I believe that's what those are. Yeah, the ones that shoot rocks at you from Zelda 1, so they're pretty much in every Zelda game, aren't they? At least back in the day, I suppose. So in the library, read all the books. You'll also notice there's a book up on the shelf, kind of like in A Link to the Past, where you can knock it over once you get the Pegasus boots. In this game, the Pegasus boots are an item you have to actually select and equip, kind of like the B and A. So that's kind of, I think that's a downgrade from Zelda A Link to the Past, but there's less buttons on the controller, because this is basically an NES game, kind of quality. So the properties of warp holes, you get to read about that. I'm not going to read it all out here. It might bore you. But yeah, basically you can warp to, and yeah, it's kind of like warping in Zelda 1, basically. You read about the map, and they say how convenient it is that you can get any message or information that you may have learned on that spot. You can read it, like I talked about with the owl, and it says, how convenient. So I agree. I think that's freaking cool. So very enjoyable. I like the map system in this game. There's also a book in the lower right corner. It's the lower right corner book that says the dark secrets of Koholon Island and so on and so forth. And then it says, what's this? I can't read it. So much later in the game, that's actually the secret, spoiler alert, as to it'll give you the secret directions you need to go when you get into the Windfish's egg. And another spoiler alert, you could say, it's different every time. So if you went a certain way the last time you played the game, it might be different. So don't get too don't think that you already know the way. Hell with it. It changes. Yeah. So sometimes it's up, left, up, left, up, left. Next time it might be down, right, or God knows what else. So it's different every time. Yeah. Just to keep you on your toes, baby. But you won't be able to read it until you get the magnifying lens, which is a lot later, and we'll talk about that when the time comes. Oh, and one other thing, there is an atlas, so you can actually see the map completely uncovered, but only in the library. Say the entire map, so you can look. And it does have information about certain things like where the heck is this, where the heck is that. So that is kind of cool. Yeah, take advantage of it if you need to, especially in the beginning of the game when you don't know where the heck you're going. You'll also notice the village music has taken over now instead of that introduction music. And listen to this quaint, quaint song. Isn't that nice? Yeah, I mean, the music in this game is very, very enjoyable. Let's go get that first heart piece, go up to the area where the well is, basically, and jump down, basically, from the ledge into the well, and pick up your first heart piece in the game. Again, similar to Link to the Past, you need 4 heart pieces to make a heart container. And you'll get to hear the cave music for the first time. I think I'm going to save that for a little bit. I don't want to put too many songs at the beginning of the game that might be kind of obnoxious. So we'll save that for later. Even though I actually really love the cave music. That's not a good place to do it, is in the well. Like, that's not a cave. You'll also notice the chain chomp, or whatever the heck it was called, from Super Mario Brothers 3. It does not hurt you. So unless you piss it up. The one thing that, no, it actually doesn't. You'd think it would be able to kill you, but it doesn't. It doesn't hurt you at all, even though it is looking like it's attacking you. The little foxes, or coyotes, or whatever the heck they are, or wolves, if you happen to hit them with your sword, they will attack and hurt you. So make note of that. The chickens also, if you hack away at them, a flock of chickens come and beat the hell out of you and potentially kill you. So don't do that either. It's not worth it, even though it's funny. It's not worth it. You go back to, what's her name, Marin and Taran's house. Nobody there. And but you get to hear that cute inside a house or store song for the first time. So yes, we'll get to that one now. I also recommend go one space east of Marin and Taran's house and kind of cut the bushes a bit, and eventually you're going to find a secret seashell. If you collect a lot of these, something good is bound to happen. Should I give you the spoiler? Well, eventually, yeah, as you get further and further, once you get to 10 and 15 seashells, you get a free extra one in the seashell mansion. You'll see that in the map as you look. And once you get to 20, you get the level 2 sword. Yeah, so that's the whole point of the seashells. So yes, we'll talk about where we get them, but that's the first one, basically, in Maybe Village. It's called Maybe Village. How about an absolute village or something, or probably village, or probably not village? Okay, it's Maybe Village. Then there's the shop. Right now at the beginning of the game, it is the shovel's 200 rupees. You can buy another shield if it gets eaten by a like. Remember those like things that look like pizzas stacked up or pancakes or something? Yeah, well, there's no like at the moment to worry about. But, yep, your next major item you're going to want to buy is the shovel. It's very helpful for tons and tons of things and such. But you could steal it, but don't. You don't want to be called a thief the rest of the game. So, yeah, it's a lot of adorable stuff. You could walk up to Marin and hear her sing the Windfish theme, so that's always adorable. She also gives you a hint saying that it's your next destination, that Taran is in the forest looking for mushrooms. So yes, go to the forest and look for mushrooms, and now you can hear the forest song. If you want to hear Marin sing, that's up to you. Be my guest. Yeah, so we'll worry about that in a little bit. Otherwise, I may or may not put that one in there. It might not be necessary. You're going to hear the song in several forms, the Ballad of the Windfish. So yes, basically work your way northwest into the forest, like I talked about. You'll also hear from the owl and such, what's to do next. It's called the Mysterious Wood. And so yes, you're going to want to eventually get the... yeah, we'll talk about that. We're going to eventually want to find Taran, but he's been turned into a raccoon, so, because the mushroom had a funny effect on him, I guess. You also got a hint that our very first actual level is the Tail Cave, where we're going to get the first of the 8 instruments to wake the windfish and all that cool stuff. You'll also notice there's areas where you need access. You can't get it yet, like a rock and such. So it's going to be like Zelda Link to the Past with the, well, yeah, there's just going to be a power glove in this one. There's no Titan's Mitt, at least. Oh, wait, I think you do get a level 2 glove later, but worry about that later. Ultimately, again, go in the cave and look around and such. And you can eventually hear the cave music. Ah, what the hell, let's play it now. It's such a simple song, but you know what? It's one of my favorites in the whole game. You probably think that? Yeah, it is. I don't know why. I really don't know why. It's just, I guess it's just kind of that vibe. You're in this cool island place and such, and sorry for the noise here. I don't know, and it's kind of like this mysterious place, and you never know what could possibly be in there. It's kind of like that. So there's also a heart container here as well, but you won't. I don't think you can get it yet with those skulls in the way. You have to get the glove first. So yeah, I've been dragging this out a ways. But yep, there, when you go through the little cave and out, you'll find the mushroom. So to be able to actually transform Taran back from a raccoon into a human being is to take the mushroom to the witch's hut, which is to the west a bit, or east, excuse me, a bit of the forest. And she will turn it into a magic powder. So in this game, instead of having a magic meter that gets gobbled up by using the magic powder, it is a limited amount of times you can use it. So 20 times, but you can find more throughout the game. And then eventually one of the, there's 3 mad batters in this game. One of them can give you, well, yeah, there's 3 mad batters, and it gives you a choice of the 3 items to have more magic powder, more bombs, and more arrows. And by the time you get to all 3, you'll have increased your amount of, each item during the course of the game. So yeah, we'll talk about those guys later when we need to. But first order of business, in order to continue in the game, is to get the magic powder, basically. Otherwise, the raccoon will just keep making you lost in the woods, which is really annoying. So that's the whole point. I'm turning this too much into a walkthrough again, but it's just kind of getting you started. Heck, it was confusing at first for me when I first played this. Oh yes, and along the ways you can get the magic acorn and magic force. It looks like a Triforce type of thing. The acorn increases your defense by half temporarily, and it has an annoying annoying kind of song that I'm not going to play on this show. And the Triforce looking thing makes your offense higher. So it's kind of like level 2 defense and level 2 offense, respectively. It's just the song is annoying. I like the real music in the game instead. And when you see those familiar looking green Gumby looking guys, similar to A Link to the Past, again, like A Link to the Past, they are electric, basically, so if you hit them, you get damaged. So you get to the witch's hut, like I said already, and get the powder. Yes, simple. So yes, the magic powder has many purposes and such. It can transform things a little bit, but also it acts as, like, say, remember the lantern in A Link to the Past? You can do that. So you see there's a little, what looks like a like a lamp type of thing, or a light type of thing. I don't know what the heck. I guess it's a lamp that's out. So yes, use the magic powder in the lamp. It'll light up the place, and she'll say, "Good job." Use it on your enemies and see what happens. Yeah, in a lot of ways it burns stuff, but luckily for the raccoon character, it doesn't burn him. It just kind of wakes him up, basically, from his transformation, I guess. This is the frustrating part of the game where you have access to basically nothing. There's like holes you need to jump over to reach here. You need the Rock's Feather. That's in level 1, thankfully. You need to pick up these heavy rocks. I believe that's in level 2, like Bottle Grotto it's called. So yeah, so on and so forth. The hook shot, can take you long distances, blah, blah, blah. So we'll talk more and more about those items in each level. So just like in Link to the Past again, that's ultimately where you get the, the items that give you more access in the game. It's kind of like being at work and you sign in and you don't have as much access as maybe this other person, and it's frustrating. You want to get that access, damn it, so get it. So yes, again, that raccoon was Taran. Yes, the last thing he can remember was biting into a nice juicy toadstool. Then I had the darndest dream. I was a raccoon. Yeah, sounds strange, but it sure was fun. I'm all, and he says basically he's tuckered out. He's going to set a spell before he goes home. So I like that. I'm all tuckered out. So basically now you head north. Well, no, you get the key first the tail cave is not here. It's actually further down by the beach area. So, and of course the owl talks again. Ugh. So like I said, the tail cave is closer to the beach and such. And of course, again, you can use walkthroughs all over the internet. I believe Mike's RPG Classics or whatever is on there as well. And there's other FAQs and walkthroughs and maps that help you find the heart pieces and the maps in the labyrinths and where the treasures are and blah, 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 blah. So yeah, it's a nice thing. And I missed the original. I believe I still have it somewhere, but the original player's guide that you could order straight from Nintendo. Oh, it's just the most beautiful thing in the world. Even though everything is black and white, because the Game Boy was black and white, or green and white, basically, kind of like a greenish, like 4 different shades of green, and then ultimately black, like grayish greenish, if that makes any sense-ish. And yeah, it's great memories for me. It truly is. I miss those days very much. Even though the color looks better, it's just, those were the days, weren't they? So when you finally get to Tail Cave, it'll be pretty obvious that you're there. It looks like a bunch of little tails with eyes standing outside what looks like a labyrinth and a keyhole. You go to that, you bring your tail key there, and into the Tail Cave you go, and here's a very unique sound, because it's the only level in the entire game you will hear this song. Enjoy! Honestly, in a lot of ways, the song you just listened to is, I think, one of the better songs in the game for all the labyrinths. Honestly, it's one of the best. Of course, here, yeah, and I say too much. There's a lot of situations. You could probably guess why there's like a gray spot, this and that. You know, it's like a lot of times you have to kill all the monsters on the screen to get a key or this or that or to open the door. And there's all kinds of stuff going on. And it's similar as well, the compass. Yep, the compass tells you where the end boss is, but it'll also make a doot-doot-doot-doot sound if there's a key hidden in a room when you enter, which was not available in the Link to the Past. So that's another new thing in this game compared to the other one. Kind of cool, but only once you have the compass. There's another weird thing in this game where it's like one of the strangest things ever, where there's like an owl kind of statue on the wall, kind of like a plaque or whatever. Or like, I don't even know what you'd call it, where it's coming out of the wall, like a sculpture with no beak. And it's like, okay, so you can find a beak somewhere in the level, and then that owl creature will give you a hint on how to either beat the last boss or find like the most important treasure or whatever. So obviously the main treasure of this level, again, is the Rock's Feather, which allows you to jump. So that's obviously unique in Legend of Zelda. You weren't able to jump other than, I guess, Zelda 2, because it was a side-scrolling style. So, and then you get the weird spiky beetle-type creatures, kind of similar to A Link to the Past. Well, instead of flipping them with the hammer, you will simply flip them by having the shield out. So they kind of bounce off of you and tip over. And you better hack at them quickly, because they're going to come back and hurt you. So it's not a good thing if they do. They charge at you and all that cute stuff. Yeah, so there's that. Another new creature in the game is Goombas, like little Goombas from Super Mario Brothers. That's right. Can you believe it? Goombas in a Zelda game. And one major thing about them. If you jump on them a la Mario rather than hit them with your sword, they will give you a heart every single time. And I was almost dead just now, and I was able to get 2 hearts. So, yeah. So it's So it's definitely a different perspective in this game compared to A Link to the Past or any of the other ones. See, when you're like climbing up a ladder, you just go up the ladder, like in Zelda 1, whatever. This one you can fall off, and it's like jumping off of something or bouncing off of something. So yeah, you didn't have that in the previous Zelda games, did you? You'll also notice flying objects in these levels. Again, so this is still kind of like an intro in a way because you're seeing a lot of stuff for the first time. So I won't babble as much during the levels in the future of the game, but you'll notice like hearts with wings and maybe bombs with wings, arrows with wings, and magic powder with wings. Once you have the Rock's Feather, which I will personally myself in a couple of seconds here, I'm staring right at the treasure chest. You don't need the big key to get the main treasure, you just need the big key to get to the end of the level. So there is still the big key. But see, the Rock's Feather can be used to jump over traps, and it can, again, like the floating items, you can jump up and grab them. Like there's one with a heart right now. That will be coming really handy because I got hit again. You'll also get what appear to be key blocks in the game, where it's like it's blocking your way to like a path or something. So you use keys on that as well. So instead of just doors, you have key blocks in this game. Another new feature compared to the previous Zelda games. And instead of the big key, it's actually called the Nightmare Key, but it's the same thing. It even looks similar to the to Zelda Link to the Past. You get another new character, which obviously the owl will help you. They look like cards. And they're they have like hearts and spades and blah 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 blah. In order to make them die, so to speak, they have to all have the same card. See, when you hit them, it's stuck on heart or whatever. So you have to, if you have heart for one of them, they have to all be hearts, or they have to all be diamonds, or blah blah blah. And one little cute feature is if you have all diamonds, they each have a rupee, so you get 3 rupees. Yay. But if there are 3 hearts, you get 3 hearts, and that'll help fill up your power. The others just, whatever. Can't, they just die or whatever, and maybe you get a treasure, maybe you don't. Another interesting brand new feature in this game is that there are mini bosses often in these levels. So it's like another new feature that's interesting. Mini bosses in a lot of these levels, and when you beat them, they create like what could be a checkpoint in the level. It's like a cloud-shaped spinning thingy where you could go back to the entrance and continue, or go from the entrance to that midway point or so in the level, or 3/4 into the level type of deal. So it's kind of cool. And they also have their own special boss song. Not too bad, not too great either. So this one is like a rolling, like roll stuff at you. I think you see this on incarnations a couple of times in the game. Oftentimes you can kind of trap it as you're hacking away with a sword, but eventually the son of a biscuit gets away. But eventually you beat him as well. So this one, again, similar to Link to the Past. It's like that big giant worm thingy that can push you off the edge and you have to come back and beat it again. So it's that guy again. It's nice. Where you obviously have to hit him in the back, basically, to cause damage. Like the very end of the tail anyway, like the rattler on the rattlesnake, that type of thing. Oh yeah, and here's your stupid boss music. The trick to beating this annoying blankety blanker is to stay near the middle of the screen and hack away and try not to get hit. Easier said than done, yeah, especially we only have 3 freaking hearts, so this is where you could rack up a lot of deaths. Or if you're trying to have a perfect game without dying once, this is arguably the hardest part of the game because of that. Now, I'll be honest, with this stupid boss, you know what I recommend doing, honestly? Kind of similar like in the other Zelda games sometimes. Since you have that checkpoint dealie, go out to the forest. You can actually afford to buy medicine, which will fill you up when your power runs out, rather than, having to fight the guy with 3 bleeping hearts and such. So that's actually the trick. I was like, wait a minute, that type of thing. I was like, why would I die so quickly? Oh, because you're not supposed to if you know what you're doing. So, yes, use that, take advantage of that checkpoint thingy, and you can get right back to the boss right away. Get back to the boss right away after you get your medicine and such, and get back to the tail cave and such. So yes, remember those parts where you had to jump and such. You know, when you get far out, when you're kind of going into the east, like kind of close to the witch's hut. Well, it's like the screen north of the witch's hut. You couldn't reach before because you couldn't jump. Well, now you can. That is Crazy Tracy's medicine place, basically. So you can get a bottle of medicine. Do it. Okay, I'm an idiot. You can't go there yet because of the. You have to be able to lift stones to get to her, but you can get heart pieces along the way. Like around there, you can jump to see a heart piece in the middle of everything. So sometimes I'm forgetful with this one. So unfortunately, I apologize for that. Best place to go with this one for a walkthrough or guide or whatever is Zelda Dungeon. So yes, just kind of Google it and such. So annoyingly, we can get up to 3 heart pieces, which is not enough. But yeah, you can go to the fisherman and stuff, and obviously you want to catch the big fish, and that'll give you a piece of heart. So that's the 3rd heart piece. The second one was the one in that little area you could jump to, so to speak, close to the witch's hut and such. But obviously, yeah, so the boss in level 2 is the one where I remember getting the medicine. Yeah, that guy's really tough. So yes, before you beat that level, you get the power bracelet. That's level 2. It's not a power glove, it's power bracelet. So that's kind of like Zelda 1 again. But you pick stuff up like Zelda, Zelda, A Link to the Past and all that. So I pick up and throw stuff in that. So, but it's the power bracelet like Zelda 1. And there is a level 2 power bracelet later on in the game. We'll worry about that when we get there. But yeah, absolutely. Once you get the power bracelet, get some medicine as soon as possible, honestly. The best way to catch stuff super easy in the fishing place, which you won't have to do very much, is, so you notice how it says push the button fast. It doesn't say the A or the B, so you can actually press both. Just use your 2 fingers and go da-da-da-da-da-da, and you'll get it much faster. So yeah. You'll basically want to catch all the fish because the last one will be the last big one, and that'll give you the piece of heart, and you won't be coming back after this. No reason, unless you really feel like it. After that, you pretty much have little to no choice. Just go finish the tail cave. The only way to do it is to bleeping do it. So pretty much fill up your power along the way, hacking bushes or whatever the heck, and try not to get hit along the way. Once you get in, use the little warp thingy to get, 1 room away from the tail cave, or a boss, basically. Yeah, it's the tail cave, it's a tail worm, so to speak, and basically the best way to finish him off is to kind of hang out in the bottom center of the screen and kind of hack away, and you only have to hit him about 4 times, and notice he gets real fast every time you hit him. He'll slow down, he'll calm down a bit, but once he's going fast permanently, that means it's only 1 more hit to go. Try your best, and once you beat him, it's a huge relief, and then you can hear a cute little song as you get the the full moon cello. That's your first major instrument, your first major item of the 8 levels, kind of like the previous Zelda games. Level 1, full moon cello. Enjoy. And when you finish that place, as you start to head back to maybe village, you get greeted by the 2 boys in a panic, saying that Bow Wow has been kidnapped. And it just so happens that Bow Wow likes the indigestible flowers in Jopogo Swamp, which is where your next destination is, the Bottle Grotto. So you're going to need Bow Wow's help. So first, you better rescue him from the from the moblins, I guess they're called. Obviously, the boys tell you about it, and the owner, the lady inside. So yes, they're like, yep, go. So basically, kind of work your way up, kind of towards Jopogo Swamp, but not quite in. You kind of basically will want to be southeast in a little cave. Not complicated at all. Just kick their butts and rescue Bow Wow. And then you quote-unquote take him for a walk to Jopogo Swamp, and that way you can actually get in Jopogo Swamp rather than like being frustrated and pissed off. And into the Bottle Grotto we go, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, before you do anything, obviously once you have, I mean, even before you have Bow Wow, go get the magic medicine from Crazy Tracy, who hangs out, of course, just above where the witch's hut is, like a screen above. Right now you have the Rocks Feather to jump aboard, so forgive me for forgetting that. I should also make a note, there are a bajillion little tiny songs. Some are more significant than others in this game. They will not all be played on this podcast because that's a little bit crazy. The podcast might go on forever, or at least the files moving around would be insane. So I'll have mostly the essential ones, of course, will be there, all the different levels like the one you just heard. And of course, like the caves and blah, 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 the houses and the overworld, obviously. So mostly the essential ones and a couple of fun ones maybe added on, like the one just now, the panicking song. And never mind on Crazy Trace, I keep making the same dumb mistake. You have to get the glove first. But at the same time, though, while you're jumping towards the Crazy Tracy area with like the cross in the middle of the holes and such, that's where you go north and east and work your way to get the moblins and such. But now I'm backtracking way too much. Sorry. Another quick backtrack. There's also a little phone booth area before you get into the Bottle Grotto area, Japogo Swamp, and that's where you can always go for tips as well from Alrira is the guy's name. So, and I kind of like the song, so I'll play it. And of course, Alrira says to take Bow Wow there for a walk. That's actually where you first hear about it, but then also if you're just randomly walking around, you'll notice he actually eats them. Bow Wow is that, chomp thing from Mario 3 that is, I guess, a dog. I guess it's a dog. So anyhow, let's get on to Bottle Grotto before hell freezes over. Apologize. It's a more interesting level in the game. It's kind of got an Italian vibe. Every time I come there, I think of it's like an Italian restaurant with the bottles and all that. It just kind of has that look, doesn't it? And like I've said multiple times, the main treasure in this level is the power bracelet, which allows you to pick up and throw heavy things. And then there's a level 2 one much later on, I believe, in the mask level or whatever. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about that when we get there. That's level 6. And of course, yes, the heavy-looking bottles are something that you need to pick up. But usually, whenever you walk up to something and you can't do it, the game gives you a hint, like, "Oh, I need something to lift this," or "I need something to crush this." Like these crystals you'll see later on, that would be the Pegasus boots, or you dash through them. Yeah. This is also the first level where you'll start having dark rooms. Well, how do you do that? You light the fire with the, like I may have said earlier, the powder. Yes, the powder. You'll also see Shy Guys from Super Mario 2 make an appearance in this level. So the only way to kill them is to kind of back into them and whirl your blade. You hold it down and do the whirling blade attack. That's the only way to kill them. Otherwise, you'll go right into you and hurt you instead. So, yeah. This level, you'll also get a Link to the Past kind of, well, it's not a shout out. It's just having the same kind of like features again, where you hit the crystal and like certain, barriers go up and others go down. So it's that type of thing again. Unfortunately, there's no color difference. So yeah, be aware of that, unfortunately. And by the way, this is the Game Boy Color version that I'm playing, and they still didn't add a color difference to the different color. Yeah, oh well. I guess you can kind of guess. I mean, whatever. You know what I also noticed very interestingly? See, like the Android phones of this time, when you get a notification, it might do the sound doo-doo-dee-doo-doo, like that. That almost sounds like the tune when there's a key in the level. Like, say, after you get the compass, sometimes you go in you go on a screen and there's a key there, and it'll give you that little doo-doo-doo-doo. It's almost like, maybe that's where they got the idea to do the sound effect on the Android phones. Nah, probably not. Another new feature that's kind of cool, obviously, is that there's doors where it looks like a shape of a body, like kind of like you. You can just kind of walk through it one direction, though. It's like a one-way type of a walk. Well, the other side is just, sorry. So we could use those at work because there's one-way doors and people always go through the wrong way, which is extremely rude. Like, say, when 5-6 people are trying to go through the correct way and one jerk or jackass or 3 or 4 of them pile up and try to get in the way when there's room for one person.
Yeah, let's turn it into something like that where you absolutely cannot go through the door. Like, nope, screw you. Go the right way or get out of here. Sorry for airing my dirty laundry there, but had to do it. My goodness. Your mini boss in this level is a Cyclops, which is weak against bombs. Otherwise, just hack away with your sword. Who cares? He's not hard. There's a goofy part where you actually have to kill 3 enemies in a certain order. So there's a hint from one of the wall owls, after you get the beak that says, first defeat the imprisoned Pole's voice, last Stelphos. So the imprisoned Pole's voice, of course, is the guy with ears from Zelda 1, like big, big ears that hates noise, I guess, in Zelda 1. You kill that thing first, then the bat, and then the Stelphos, which would be the skeleton character, and then you can get the treasure in the room that is very important to moving forward in the game. Without that, it took me a long time the very first time I played through this. And I'm like, it's simple. Why am I not doing this right? So I finally understood what the heck I was doing and then took care of business. The room where you get the power bracelet is kind of funny. It's a dark room with 2, like lamps, like kind of in the far away on the other side of the room. Not really that hard to get to, but there's these ghosts coming at you all, gung ho. All you do is light up the lamps and they turn black and start running away and they're vulnerable to attack. So it's kind of funny how that works out. But yes, finally having the power bracelet opens a lot of things up for you. And that's kind of, it's this game and, basically most Zelda games. Like certain items really open the next, they give you more access basically, and it feels good. Also in this game, unlike Zelda, you know how you have the crystal blocks that come up and down every time you hit the crystal? You can actually, so say if you're standing on blocks that are down and you hit the crystal and then you're standing on top of the blocks that have came up, you can walk in those. Whereas in Zelda, A Link to the Past, you just get stuck. So that's another interesting little change and feature in this game versus Link to the Past. And that whole, imprisoned Pole's voice and all that thing. The only way to kill the Pole's voice at this stage in the game before you have the flute or the ocarina, whatever, is to throw the bottle at it. So otherwise it's invincible. So be aware of that. And but later on, once you have the ocarina, the first song, the Marin song, basically kills them instantly. So they still hate noise. Allow me to re-emphasize, once you get the power bracelet, leave the room, leave the area, go to Crazy Tracy. I already told you where she is. Get the medicine, because the boss in this level sucks. So yeah, he's not easy at all. So do that, please, for your own sake. Also, Crazy Tracy will refill your current energy as well. So she gives you the medicine, but say if you have a little bit of damage, she will heal you completely as well. So pretty cool. Also, before you go into the Bottle Grotto again, might as well let the doggy eat up, or Bow Wow eat up some of the flowers around the area, so you can maybe pick up some treasures before you go in. It's probably not a bad idea because eventually, once you go back to the maybe village, you do return Bow Wow. Otherwise, you can't really continue in the game. So the next level will be unattainable with Bow Wow available because a certain character that helps you won't cooperate if Bow Wow is around. So be aware of that, of course. And also, right before you get to the boss, there's a really weird situation that comes up that confused me at first one time was... how you step on the little stones and they go down, right? Well, there's one that makes an angry face like, no, I'm not moving. So what you do is you pick up the bottle that's nearby, hang on to it as you stand on the stone, and down it'll go. So it's like you weigh more, basically. Yeah. This boss is definitely annoying. So basically he throws, he says you can't hurt him as long as you have his bottle, or he has his bottle. Yep, true, but he's not going to have his bottle for long. So basically he comes out of the bottle, he's basically like a genie, he throws fireballs at you. He goes in the bottle and chases you. So what you do is hit the bottle with a sword, which won't damage him, it'll kind of stun him. And he's like, well, you're not going to do anything to me. But then you pick him up and you pick it up with the power bracelet and throw it against the wall and do that 3 times. And then eventually you are able to fight him when the bottle's broken with the sword. So there you go. And now your next treasure is the conch shell. Enjoy the music and away we go. The conch horn, pardon me. No, yeah, it's a shell, but it's a horn. Yeah, you get the idea. But do enjoy the music. So the next order of business will be in the prairie, as the game tells you, basically, which is east of Maybe Village. So yes, take the dog back, Bow Wow, before you can really continue, and we'll move on from there. Order of business, though, as you're heading back to Bow Wow's area, Maybe Village and such,
There's some treasures in the, in the forest, the mysterious forest that you did not have access to before. Now you will have more access to them with the power bracelet. So, of course, you see like stones blocking a cave, blah, 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 and other situations as well. There's stones blocking a treasure. One of them is a secret seashell, I believe. This cave, though, that I just opened, you need the hook shot. So, yeah, you just look at it. Everything's too far away. That's what I thought. So, heck with that. One of them is a mad batter as well. So, ooh, you better go get that with the powder. Unfortunately, yeah, let's wait on that because I didn't even get bombs yet. So you want to maximize your bombs or arrows. I mean, it's okay if you maximize the powder, but I think bombs and arrows are more important than the powder. Honest to God. So, yeah. Let's hold off on that. Unfortunately, the bow and arrow costs a fortune, and you don't have access to even purchasing it until you purchase the shovel, which right now, thankfully, you will have enough money to purchase that. At least I would hope so now. I'm at 200 myself, so that's another order of business in maybe village. You can also get access to a heart piece that's in the cave, that's in one of the caves in the, mysterious forest. Remember, the green skulls are just skulls blocking the way. You can pick those up and throw them. And if you've been keeping up, basically, similar to what I've been doing, you've now collected your first 4 pieces. So you have another heart container rather than just pieces. So keep piecing away and enjoy it and have fun and all that good stuff, eh? And when you do collect secret seashells of different kinds, I believe, again, yes, there's one in the woods here, the mysterious woods or forest, where you can, it's the treasure that's kind of blocked by stones. So you pick up one of the stones and get to it. Keep track of how many seashells you have on the status screen. Once you get to 5, don't collect any more. Go to the seashell mansion, which is in the prairie, which will be close to where we're heading in a while later on, because you'll get a 6th seashell for free. So every time you get multiples of 5, you'll save time by not having to collect extra. That'll give you an extra seashell faster. So you won't have to collect every single one in the entire game, which would take you to around level 8. You might be able to get the level 2 sword by level 6 or 7. So that's not a bad idea. And real quick before you leave the village and such, obviously you want to go to the little shop. Not the shop where you buy stuff. Well, yeah, get the shovel too. But so like the store where you buy stuff, yes, get the shovel. But there's also the little quote-unquote trendy game, which is kind of like those games at like Perkins or something where you could, the little hand where you can grab a prize. So there's that. You want to get the Yoshi doll there and then trade that for a ribbon so you want to start the cute trading game, which I think is a lot of fun. So now I own a shovel. I didn't steal it because that's pointless and dumb, really. I know, just like stealing in real life is pointless and dumb. Like, what's the point? So yes, again, the trendy game, go get the Yoshi doll in there. That doesn't cost much so to do, and you'll learn tricks later on in the game when I feel like telling you on how to get the items. Otherwise, I'm sure there's YouTube videos that can help you as well. Little tricks that make it easy to catch, maybe raise money real quickly to get the bow and arrow. But for now, just get the Yoshi doll in the middle, which is very easy to get. I wish it was that easy at Perkins, but the damn hand drops the prizes most of the time. I'll fill you in a tiny little cute story I had at Valley Fair many years ago. Well, mid-90s, I guess, where there was that robotic hand thingy that, picks up things. There were cute little balls. I believe it was like basketball teams. There were tiny little balls, tiny little ones, like soft little things that had like the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics, and the team colors and everything on them. Not the logo, it just said the name or whatever and the colors. Instead of like missing and getting nothing, I got 3 with one grab. I was like, oh, that was the most lucky and coolest thing ever. So I just thought I'd throw that in. So yes, you start by trading the Yoshi doll to the, it's the house a little bit north, we'll say northeast of town, or northeast in the town. Pardon me, I'm stammering all over the place. And you trade it to the mama in there, basically. There's mama and papa, basically, where they give you, they have quadruplets. So, yep, they start the trading game by you trade the Yoshi doll for a ribbon, and then you go to the Bow Wow's area with the ribbon. Not in Bow Wow's house, but the cute little house where the girly dog basically says makeup, jewels, dresses, I want it all, and some new accessories would be nice. She's the one that gets the ribbon. And then in that same area, you can also dig and get a seashell. Now, if you were with Bow Wow for a while, you could also find seashells that way, but it's, he'll give you a hint. He'll say, dig, rough, basically. But, as long as you have player's guides nowadays, you don't need to walk around with Bow Wow because you wouldn't be able to really continue in the game anyway. So I don't know, and I'll do my best to guide you on where those are, I guess, without being too much of a walkthrough again. That's what I need to avoid. By the way, the little dog will give you dog food. What a surprise. What a concept, right? So they'll give you dog food, and then you bring that down to Sale's House of Bananas, which is an alligator down by the beach. So you might as well do that before you continue in the game. And he will give you bananas, which you actually will need in order to continue because Kiki the monkey helps you get to the level 3 a bit. So it's going to be a while till we get to level 3. There's a lot of little strings attached before we get there. So do enjoy. Like I said, work your way down to the beach area, and eventually you'll see like a house or hut or whatever that's Sale's House of Bananas, House O Bananas. So now that you have the dog food, of course, and anytime you want to see which item you have, you just look on the status screen. I can clearly see what looks like a can of something. Apparently it is dog food. So, and it's filled with some nice juicy beef for an alligator. So alligators like that. So dog food for bananas is next on the list, and then eventually you give it to Kiki the monkey coming up. If you go east, you're going to eventually reach a dead end where you see 3 holes in a row that you can't jump over. So that's when you have the Pegasus boots and you can jump. Otherwise, you could visit the House by the Bay, which has a quaint little song. But I'm going to think we'll save that until we get to the Ghost. The House by the Bay. I like that one. So what you really want to do is work your way back up to the to maybe Village and then kind of head east. Now that you can kind of hang around there in the prairie. It's funny, if you go to Alrira's house, his wife is very energetic. Yahoo, I'm fine, and you. And then Alrira's like, but what do you expect? People that are always on the phone have no personality when you meet them in person. That sounds familiar. And this was 1993 when it was originally written. Yeah, so it was foreshadowing where people go. People always on their phone, and they live their life on their phone. They're a little different. Again, though, at least you can, he gives you a hint of where to go next. You're looking for Richard, who lives in Pothole Field. So again, that is east of the village and all that cute stuff. And he can kind of help you eventually lead to level 3. The bananas will come in handy, by the way, because in order to get to the Canelet Castle, which Richard talks about, you need the monkeys to build a bridge. Without the bananas, the monkeys will not help you. So put it that way. Pretty simple, eh? You will also see your first warp hole. Right now, if you go inside it, you will just come right back where you were. But these will ultimately take you to the 4 corners of whatever this is, Koholin Island. Sorry, it's not Hyrule. So, but you can only go to ones that you've seen. So this one you've seen. I actually recommend diving into it because then it counts like you've seen it, I guess. I don't know if you actually see it or you have to dive in, but I just say dive in. What the hell? And then you'll just resurface in the same spot. If you go south one place, you'll notice that there is what looks like 4 grass things, like north, south, east, west. In the center of there is a secret seashell if you want to dig there. You'll also walk past, if you're going south, the slime dungeon. That is level 3, but you can't get in. So because you got to get the slime key first. So that's where Canelet Castle and Richard and all them come in handy. Just keep going south, and you will eventually get to Richard's villa. Ooh, now you can listen to a quaint song here. Supposedly Richard is like a prince or something, but he used to live in Canelet Castle, which is pretty close by. I hope I'm saying it correctly. He actually holds the slime key, ultimately, in the basement. You just kind of go and get it. But you have to help him first. You know how the deal works. You have to get the gold leaves out of Canelet Castle. So that's pretty much your next quest. It's not too hard, though. And by the way, this prairie is called Ukuku Prairie. That's kind of the main prairie of the game. There's Koholin Prairie and this prairie and that prairie. But there's Ukuku Prairie. That's kind of the largest one. So, yeah. And of course, yes, you need the shovel to even ever get the key that he's going to give you because it's buried in his backyard, basically. But you can't get it until he opens the path to get to that backyard, so to speak, like a pothole field or whatever it is. So, yeah, can't do that yet. So what you're going to want to do now is pretty much go up a little bit, because Canelet Castle is not all that far away. What you can do is kind of jump up. Just kind of jump on these little islands in this lake type thingy. which is like a couple spaces above where Richard was. That's ultimately how you get into the swamp, but you can also get these two shells that are close by. Sorry, I'm dragging this out a little bit, but yeah, get the shell that's kind of in that north, south, east, west type of dealy thingy looking thing. Grab that. I believe that's only the second seashell. No, third, because I got the one in the little doghouse. The fourth one will be on this island right above you there. Yeah, see if you walk to the east a little bit, you'll see there's a plant on one of the islands. So you just kind of go pick up that plant in an angle where, well, maybe you can't get there yet. Nope, you have to be able to swim. Silly me. So my apologies. That one you can only get once you get the flippers. I can't swim yet. In reality, you would be able to swim, especially in this little thing, but it's a fantasy game. They just want to make everything slower and harder, don't they? How mean. So just kind of follow the path, and you'll eventually head to Kennelet Castle. You can look at the signs as well to give you advice on where to go. So it's not too complicated at the end of the day. Similar to A Link to the Past, you can't get in the front, so what do? You go to the right and up, just like Link to the Past. And there's the monkey that'll help you cross. He'll create a bridge for giving him some bananas. Isn't that great? So into Kennelet Castle we go eventually. But you don't actually walk inside right away. So, yeah. Oh, and by the way, remember, it's a trade game. Guess what? Well, it's not really a game. You get a stick. Eventually, this all leads to, should I spoil it? The magnifying lens. But we're not there yet. So, the magnifying lens, remember that? Yeah, that can help you like win the game in the end. But these items do help you throughout quests along the way as well. It's just like the bananas helped open up the pathway. So there is a purpose to all of it. Dang it. So just kind of work your way up. You'll find a couple of leaves on the outside and a couple on the inside. One's with a raven. You throw rocks at it to make the raven come at you. You kill the raven and you get the gold leaf. And the very last one is like what looks like a knight with a morning star. You kill him and get it. So yes. The main goal here is just don't leave no stone unturned, basically. Literally, in some cases. You know, like kill all the enemies, disturb this, bomb that, so on and so forth, and then eventually you'll get it. I don't believe I even ever got any bombs yet, so I might have to go back to the... if you didn't buy any bombs, you might have to go back to the shop, because, see, bombs don't become available until you buy the damn shovel. That kind of opens things up for the rest of the game for a lot of things, including the bow and arrow and bombs. One of them also was outside. It's an annoying, like, I don't know. It's almost like Whack-A-Knight. This little knight that throws bombs out of these holes. Yeah, it kind of goes up one and down the other, down one and comes up the other. You eventually kill him and get a gold leaf as well. So that's another one. And once you finally go in the castle, you get to hear the Kennelet Castle theme song. Enjoy. Relatively cool song, but it just kind of loops and loops and loops and loops and loops. So I won't let that one play too long, at least I hope I didn't. And don't worry, it's not a huge level. It's just a little mini stage, so don't worry. It's nothing like, oh crap, another level added? Come on. So once again, you're like Joshua in the Battle of Jericho. Wipe them all out, you'll get your promised land. Okay, I'm just kidding. But no, yeah, wipe them all out. That's the whole point. Kill everything that you can kill pretty much, because golden leaves are going to come in bunches. Well, you eventually get 5, that is. Okay, really good news. Something I was banking on. So when you kind of, yeah. Well, after you go out, like, say you go outside, kind of like when you're on the, I guess you can call it the second floor, you can go outside and into the next area where that, ultimately where the Morningstar guy is. Well, the room before you get to him has bottles on the ground. And thankfully there are bombs under some of them. So at least one, and you need that at least one bomb in order to, bomb one of these bad guys out of the wall. So go back to the previous room, because this way you eliminate the confusion of where the other gold leaf is. Go back to the room that you passed by not too long ago, where you saw what looked like two knights, two like outlines of knights in the wall. Bomb, I believe the one on the left. That one has a golden leaf. It'll come out and fight you, and you get the bold golden leaf. Kill him, my friend. Kill him. And yep, that was correct. So that one bomb under the grotto saved you a bunch of time. So now you technically are able to get bombs at any time ever since now. You don't even have to go buy them if, say, you were like me and forgot. And also one final thing, if you're wondering how the heck to even get in the room where the Morningstar guy is, because there's no switch or anything. You throw a bottle at the door, so it's like you break in, literally. And after you kill him, you get the 5th leaf. You go back to Richard. You you go back to Richard. He's very happy. Thank you very much, très bien, or whatever the word he uses. And then he lets you go into the backyard, where eventually you get to the area where there's a little owl statue that tells you there's a secret beneath your souls. And what does that mean? Dig, get the key, and off to level 3 you go. Do enjoy the slime dungeon. One major thing as well, the treasure chest. There's a treasure chest in the little cave before you get to the backyard in Richard's villa to get the key. There is a seashell there. So when you go there, look for the secret seashell mansion, the seashell mansion, which is very close by. You can look in the map and such. And yeah, then you can get a 6th one for free. Every multiple of 5, at least 5 and 10, you can get a free seashell. So you better take advantage of that. After you get your secret seashell, your 5th one, or 6th one, pardon me, you take your 5 into the mansion, get your 6th one there, then you just walk to the right and grab the next seashell. Yeah. So now we can finally get to stupid level 3 for real this time. So as I said before, the main treasure here is the Pegasus boots, and you'll also notice how there's certain rooms where you can't continue without them, basically. So yeah, and including those crystal-looking entities that you have to, you have to ram through them. So yeah, that's pretty much the goal here in a lot of ways. You can also make a lot of money in one of the rooms as well, but well, it's just a lot of treasure. So if you time everything correctly. This level also has it has a number of different kinds of bombs, I guess. There's one kind where you hit it and it flies all over the room and then blows up. There's others you bump it and they time, they're like a little timer starts. It's like 1, or it's like 3, 2, 1 basically. So the best case in those, when you get to see those, you want to try to get them to do it all at the same time or just one at a time. So that way you don't have to deal with, like, say, you know, like 2 of them are like maybe a second apart. You're probably going to get hit. So either just do one at a time or do them all at once if you can to beat those guys. Then you get the Dodgano snakes, basically is what they're called. Treat them like the Dodgano monsters or dinosaurs in Zelda 1. Just feed them a bomb and guess what? You win. Well, eventually. They don't die in one hit. It takes a couple. And they're one of the more entertaining monsters in the game as well, because when they swallow the bomb, their abdomen looks real big. It's really funny, actually, like a cartoon. So enjoy the scene of that, actually. And that, of course, would be this level's version of the mini boss that opens up the little, you know, the little cloud thingy that takes you like to kind of the middle of the level, or, you know, can take you back to the beginning and also back to the middle or so, basically, or near the end, so to speak. Then you can get the Pegasus boots. You can finally get through those crystal entities. You can just basically equip it, run through, bada bing, bada boom, and the level gets much easier from here on, for the most part anyway. Plus, there's also a part where it looks like an arrow is pointing to the wall. What do you think that means? There's probably a bomb. Well, this one's not true. Interesting. Well, either way you get in. It doesn't change the sound. They said it did. You also get you get an area where it looks like a space of like what would be equivalent of 3 spaces. What you do is you equip the the Pegasus boot and the feather. Dash, and well, you let go of dash and then you jump, and then you get the 3. Basically you're able to jump like 3 spaces. That's the difference. It's like a run and jump effect. It's also effective for 2 jumps, and then eventually you can get the Nightmare's Key that way. So that's where the Pegasus boots come in handy for the rest of the game, where you can jump 3 spaces now. Of course, the key to get rid of the time bomb characters is once it gets to 0, that's when you basically swing your sword, and that's when you get the best effect, basically, of getting them away from you before you get hurt. Or should I say 1, not 0. And again, poke the walls and such as you're heading to the left, basically after you're destroying the bombs and such. You know, the time bombs. Afterward, when you can't get through the wall through via a door, you can hear a loud clang. That means you can bomb the wall. Simple. And eventually, of course, after you get the Pegasus boots, you'll want to try to get back to the beginning area where you needed to get the Pegasus boots or whatever in the screen left of the entrance. And yeah, that's where you get an all-important item called a key, the fourth key. So you can get through the fourth, you can get through the fourth key block type of thingy and get to the end of the level. Sounds good? And another entertaining thing as you're heading into the, well, which could be nearing the end of the game, the level anyway. There's a block in the way with the angry look. Just dash it. And then it looks funny as hell as it goes, oh, as you smash into it. It has this surprised look as it falls down, and that's how you get there. Kind of entertaining. And then you also want to do the three-space jump again in the platformy basement area after doing that block. So, well, and I just failed miserably, so, oh well, at least I didn't die or anything. And so the boss here, when it says, nah, you can't find me, just ram into the wall, and down it comes as a slime type of character, which is really kind of a cool, funny looking thing. What the key here is to kind of like attack near the middle to make it split in two, and then it becomes vulnerable, and you just hack away, and, well, that's it. Actually, a stunningly easy boss if you're able to charge up your whirlwind attack and hit them both at the same time. You just might win really, 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 really fast. It's funny how it's like the slime key, and then it's called the key cavern, and then the boss is a slime. Okay, well, it came back full circle. You get the bell in this case. I'm trying to remember what's the name of it. It is the Sea Lily's Bell. Do enjoy the cute little song there. Well, the next level is going to be the Angler's Tunnel, but unfortunately it's going to be a little while until we get there because there's a lot of side quests we got to do in order to get there first. First of all, I mean, you eventually have to get the flippers to be able to even get in, and obviously to play through the level off and on, ups and downs, but you're also going to be trading the stick to Taran, as he's going to want to poke at a honeycomb and then get stung by a bunch of bees, and then you get the honeycomb for free. And that can kind of help you in the animal village. So you're ultimately going to go to the animal village now that you can jump over the 3 spots with the Pegasus boot. You can also get several, you can also get at least 1 heart piece along the way that is close to maybe village. Again, use a player's guide for that, where you can kind of get through. There's a little door where you see the green crystals and such that can kind of help you get along the way. Also, again, other ones, yeah, where you bomb your way in and kind of work your way through. But, of course, again, the Pegasus boots make a huge difference for a lot of things. Banging into a few trees to get the seashells and such. One of them kind of close. Yeah, one of them's very close to the tail dungeon. Another one kind of a little bit south of maybe village, just very close to a phone booth. You can get a seashell there. And ultimately, again, also the Dream Shrine, which is in Maybe Village. That's one of those places where you couldn't get in before you had the power bracelet. Once you got that, you could go in, but you didn't know what the heck was going on. And if you got in, you'd be blocked by those weird objects. Well, now you can get the Ocarina. So this is the debut of the Ocarina. Well, actually, no, it debuted in the Super Nintendo game. But and you can also learn the song. You can learn Marin's song. When you go and walk over to her, she says, oh, you have an Ocarina, and she'll teach you a new song. So there's all kinds of little side quests along the way, and you're going to get about 3 or 4 seashells along the way until you finally eventually work your way to the animal village. There's the big bear there. I guess it's a female. It doesn't look like a female, but you give her you give her or them or whatever they are the honeycomb, because of course she's, if you hadn't got it yet, she'll be like, Rickum Rackham, I'm all out of honey, and then you give her the honeycomb from Taran after poking at a honeycomb and getting stung by a lot of bees. And then you eventually get a pineapple from the, they say it's not as delicious, but it's not as sweet, but still delicious. That later on you'll be giving to Papa, who got lost in the hills like he said he was going to do. So all kinds of side quests, including even getting to sit with Marin as well, listening to her little stories of how she'd like to become a seagull and fly away and find another faraway land. It'd be fun. Lots of little interesting conversations with her as you pick up stuff or throw, you like dig, and she'll kind of tease you about that. You can throw stuff and say you're naughty. You can also have a fun little scene at the the prize hand thing as well, where you can where you can get prizes. She'll pick up the guy and drop him. It's kind of funny. But also, again, the trick to save up money to get, say, the bow and arrow and such, because it's 980 rupees. That's probably your next thing you want to do out of one of the many, many, many things you're going to be doing. The trick there is to basically, press the B button, when you start the game. You notice how the rupees are moving around. Get it to kind of the left side, the upper left side of the rectangle that's kind of spinning. Wait until the rupee or whatever prize item you're hoping for, which I'm guessing would be rupees, gets to the middle of the right side, and then press the A button. Yeah, just press it. Don't hold on to it. Just tap it. And then that'll give you exactly enough time for the rupee to get there and you to pick it up. And keep doing that, keep doing that, keep doing that until you finally have enough money for the bow and arrow. And there's also a trick as well where you'll have money for a very long time when you're selling at least I think it works in the older version, maybe not in the newer ones. And me with my situation here, I'm unable to do it. But it's an awesome trick. If you press all the buttons to save, you might not lose all 980 rupees. So you might save like a couple hundred that way, maybe even several hundred. So pretty cool. The reason why you got Marin is so she can wake up the big giant sea lion or seal or whatever that's blocking the way to the Yarna Desert. So he wakes her up, or she wakes him up, excuse me. And that way you can get in the Yarna Desert and ultimately finally get the Angler's Key and finally work your way up into the tall heights area and such, and finally get inside and get into the Angler's Tunnel. Also, if you happen to be playing the Game Boy Color version, you can get the photographing mouse now that you've gotten rid of Bow Wow. I probably should have mentioned that before even going to level 3, so my apologies there. He's slightly above where you got Bow Wow, where you recovered Bow Wow from the goblin. So kind of look around that area and you'll find the mouse and he can take photos. Again, he's not nearly as annoying as the photographer in Earthbound if you happen to play that game, where it interrupts you every second in the game. This one, it's just a fun thing, and if you have a printer from way back in the good old days, the Game Boy printer, you can print the images. Otherwise, you just have them and enjoy them, and why the hell not? I would like to make sure, though, as you enter the Dream Shrine, that you get to hear the music in that one, because it's actually pretty dang cool. So check out the Dream Shrine music as you ultimately get the Ocarina. After that, well, ultimately the way to get through all those annoying characters is, again, to dash through them as best possible. Try not to fall through the cracks in the floor, as that's a huge hazard throughout the game, and caves and levels. But then you go meet up with Marin, and you get to hear a kind of a cool song. It sounds pretty good on the Game Boy. The Ocarina and Marin singing together. Not bad. Now that you've heard that cute song, and if you've built up enough money to finally, in that stupid trendy game as they call it, to get the bow and arrow set, go right away to that Mad Batter's area in the the Mad Batter's cave in the mysterious woods or mysterious forest or whatever the heck it's called, and increase your ability to carry arrows. Or you could pick bombs as well. Magic powder, I think, is silly. So all you got to do is say no when he says, "Are you ready to carry more powder?" And then he'll give you more choices, and then ultimately settle on the arrows. Why not? That'd be kind of smart, I think. And just like that, you go from 20 arrows to 60. Yeah. So you also get 40 arrows for free. What do you think of that? After that, be sure to get the heart piece in Ukuku Prairie, which is a few screens to the east of Maybe Village. You bomb the cave, basically. You go in, you smash through the crystals and such. You get some money in the treasure chest, and you bomb the wall and the screen above the treasure chest. The screen above, you bomb the right wall, get in there, and it's a heart piece on what looks like a cross-shaped sand or something like that on the floor. Yeah. A little bit further east and maybe to the south a little bit, you'll be able to get a couple more seashells to get to your 10th seashell, and then want to go back to the seashell mansion. Say that fast 3 times, right? One of them is under a rock, around some pork warriors, and another one, you go inside the cave close by, and then there's an owl statue. After you come out of the cave in like the second level, you can call it, the owl will say, "Around here the secrets are nigh," and yep, dig to the. You can say dig like 2 space diagonally southwest of the owl, and you'll get another seashell to get to 10. And then, of course, like I just said, ultimately wind up going back to the seashell mansion to get a free seashell at the end of the day. So that's the trick there. Enjoy. Now, actually, to get up there, you have to bomb the wall, like a north wall. So, yeah, you have to bomb the wall. I believe it is this tiny little area that's indented that you get in. So, apologize. I'm probably getting a little overly detailed again in the game review and turning it into a walkthrough. But, I don't know. It's like I'm obsessed with. Like, I want to mention some of this stuff. So, my apologies again. So all you really need to know is the Seashell Mansion trick. Just to get to 5, when you get to 5, you get a free one. You get to 10, you get a free one. So that's 2 less seashells you have to look for in that sense. And when you get to 20, you go to Seashell Mansion again and get the level 2 sword. That's the end of me talking about seashells. At least I hope so. Not that you'd have them yet, but just saying that way I don't babble on and on and on about it the rest of the game here. Okay, one other thing. You are required to go in the cave of where they say secrets are nigh. You are required to come out of the other end in order to work your way towards Yarna Desert, yes. And, of course, the Animal Village, of course, to get to Yarna Desert. Once you find the little, bush that you can cut open, that at the end of a path and there's stairways down, you're finally on your way into the Animal Village. Oh, what a relief, eh? You'll notice everybody here is obsessed with Marin. Once you talk to the once you talk to the animals and such, the rabbits. So, yes, the Animal Village song. Ah, yes, the Animal Village. How adorable. Yes, everybody here is obsessed with Marin, and you'll notice right away when you try to go to the Yarna Desert, you cannot get through because this stupid walrus is in the way. But you have to bump into him first. You have to actually go to, and you have to go up to him and interact in terms of, press the button and notice that he's dreaming about Marin. So that's your clue. Go get Marin, she'll sing and wake him up, and into Yarna Desert you can finally go. The good news is there is a warp zone right outside, like a little warp hole or whatever, just south of Maybe Village from inside Maybe Village. It's in kind of like a pondy type of thing. That way you can go right back to, whatever it's called, Maybe Village. So Animal Village to Maybe Village and back and forth very quickly now from here on. So that's awesome. You can warp very quickly now without messing around and doing all that, taking forever. But you'll also be told that Marin is down by the seashore. So go down to the seashore. And, potential romance here. Ooh. So basically go to the one spot of the seashore you pretty much haven't gone yet. The prettiest part where it's scenic. Because you're not really thinking about scenery when you're playing Zelda, are you? You're thinking about battling the bad guys. But, there you go. Marin time. Well, she's finally in your party, and I already mentioned earlier the kind of little funny intricacies that can happen when you're with her, so I'm not going to repeat it again, now that I've repeated other stuff already. Since you're close by maybe Village better, might as well knock the book off of the bookshelves. So kind of like Zelda Link to the Past, they now have that here. So there's that book now available. Oops. Well, I didn't press the wrong button. Come on, people. I believe that's how to find out the about the color of dungeon. Yep, New World of Color under the 5 gravestones, and it'll give you the directions on where to go. It might be different in every game, so I'm not going to quote you what it says. Kind of similar to, in a way, kind of similar to when you get the magic sword in the cemetery in the original Legend of Zelda. Where this one, it takes you to the color dungeon, and then you ultimately have a choice between more defense and more offense. More defense, your uniform will turn blue, and your defense will be basically as if you have a magic acorn all the time. And then the red one will be as if you have the piece of power all the time without the annoying music, that type of thing. So it's like a stronger, you're just stronger than ever. So cool. We'll head over there later. I'm not going to do that now. And it's cool. It's a cool level, no doubt. Otherwise, finally work your way over to where Yarna Desert is and that stupid walrus, and then wake him up, and then away we go. It's fun stuff. Finally, you can go in and get the the cascade key, basically. Unfortunately, your little time with Marin ends right away, but oh well. Get the key and move on with the game, dang it. Okay, one other minor thing, just for fun, just in case you've never known this, but maybe you have. There's a little skeleton, bones or whatever, kind of sitting in the desert, kind of near a wall, kind of encased in a bit. Sprinkle powder on it, and he'll give you a hint. Ooh. Basically, it tells you where the heart piece is, which is underneath. You just bomb the northern wall after you get sucked in from the sand when you get the cascade key. So that's yet another heart piece that you need so badly in this game. Well, to get to where you need to go next, go north, 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 north into the tall, tall mountain range, and like the owl says, leap from the top and you'll reach your goal. It's the only way you're going to get into this watery level without the flippers, because the flippers are in the level. So, yeah. Unfortunately, to get there, though, you're going to have to work your way back west and such because, the other ways are kind of a dead end. So, bummer. If you want to go from, like, the eastern side of the world to get the tall, tall mountains, at this stage, it is a dead end, and you got the river rapid crap in the way. So, you got to go the back west, kind of maybe village way, up north that way from, like, the woods and such. Not necessarily in the woods, though, up Oku Prairie. There's another heart piece in the little area where you can pick up the rock south of the witch's hut. So this is as you're on your way to the tall, tall mountain range, tall, tall heights, all that cute stuff. So you can get a heart piece in there as well. And no, you do not need the hook shot. You just need fancy jumping skills, being able to jump diagonally, basically. Move the rock to the right a little bit, jump diagonally. This is when you're in the little cave, after you go down the stairs. And, jump up. That's simple. Diagonal jumping. It does work in this game. You can also climb up Mount Tamaranch and play the ocarina, and it'll actually pull out all the instruments you have. Of course, you're not going to be able to go to the end of the game until you have all 8 instruments. The egg will open and you'll get in. But that's kind of a spoiler alert. But big deal. You can listen to the music out of tune if you want, with a couple of instruments or several instruments missing for the hell of it if you want. But the ocarina leads the singing or the music and stuff that wakes up the windfish. Honestly, though, before you go in the mountain range, you actually don't open the door. And you open the door in the tall, tall heights area, which is like further down below the mountains, but it's still tall, tall heights, if you know what I mean. You'll notice there's a keyhole as you keep going further and further east in the tall, tall heights area, just to drive you nuts when you're thinking, okay, I'm there, but what the hell? That's why. Yeah, it's kind of silly, isn't it? Also, along the way, you'll find another warp hole, too. So, in the tall, tall heights, not tall, tall mountain range. Stay out of the tall, tall mountain range for now. You'll get that new song in a minute, but we'll stay in the heights for the moment to clear up this other stuff first. So basically, to get things going, jump in the warp hole and then just kind of, go through the cycle until you're back at the tall, tall heights, and then go in the mountains and climb up and jump from the top into the stupid Angler's Cave. And hear one of the cooler songs in the game as far as I'm concerned. Even though it's simple, it's kind of a different version of the cave song. Enjoy. Also, along the way, before you actually get to the cave, there's also, or the the angler's cave, you'll find Papa, kind of like lost in the mountains, not the woods. I don't know why they say he was lost in the woods. He's lost in the mountains. You give him the pineapple, and he will give you a hibiscus, and that's the flower that the goat character, who's also a writer like Mr. Wright, above the mysterious wood. So those two can be like pen pals with each other without really realizing they're pen pals with each other. So it's kind of fun, or at least Mr. Wright doesn't realize who he's really writing to. Kind of reminds me of the TV show Web of Lies, where the girls, like, you think you're talking to this gorgeous girl, but not necessarily a gorgeous one. But anyhow, back to the Angler's Tunnel. It's pretty obvious what the treasure of this level is going to be. It's going to be the flippers, because there's a lot of areas where it's like, you don't really have access, and other ones you can kind of maneuver around by using the Rock's Feather to jump over small areas of the deeper water, which is, of course, the darker blue. So, yeah. There's a part where it looks like you need to use the Pegasus boots and the feather, like jumping over 3 holes in a row, basically, like a super jump. But you're better off just kind of doing the diagonal thing, like down and to the side or whatever. You know what I mean? Just kind of down, jumping diagonally to a different area and then kind of working your way around. It works actually more efficiently. And like pretty much every level, you're going to want to gather as many keys as possible to eliminate any frustration along the way. So, yeah. This level also has one of the more interesting, and I don't know, it's probably my favorite like owl hint ever. The glint of the tile will be your guide. And that's, of course, again, just getting the right, pressing on the right tiles, as you'll have that happen twice. And it's the same pattern on both of them. So when the first one kind of is more obvious, the second one, you'll already know what to do. So basically, stepping on a tile, you'll see a flash if you're on the correct one. So that's pretty much your whole goal with those, and helps you progress into the level. But let me tell you, everything pales in comparison to when you finally get the frickin' flippers. Oh my God. It's like, it's like doors are finally opened. It's like you're walking in a house and like 3/4 of the doors are locked. And it's like, come on. And then you finally get the flippers. Feels like $1 million. The boss in this level is a big fish, and easily, it's got to be one of the easiest bosses in the game. Just hack away, hack away. You obviously have to have the flippers. You swim down into like a well, basically, and stuff. But yeah, it's insanely easy. And then your prize at the end of the day is the surf harp, and arguably the prettiest of all the instruments in terms of the little song. Listen. Wasn't that nice? Well, maybe I have a sentimental side and I enjoy it, but not actually like swim and stuff. So swim to the left of the exit of the level you just came out of, and you'll notice there's some fish, whatever they are, sculptures in the stone. You just go in and get the second song in the game, from Mambo, I guess you can call him. And then that song can kind of help you warp out of levels and also warp to Mambo Pond, which is actually right in front of the medicine lady, Crazy Tracy. So when you need medicine really bad and you want to just save the time, you can go there. So, and you're also going to be close to a warp hole when you get to the Crazy Tracy's store. So lots of pluses there. And again, like I just said, you can exit a dungeon right away by using that. But make sure you're not equipped with that. Once you use it, turn it off, like move it to a different song, because you might accidentally press it. Maybe you're far into a dungeon and you end up getting warped back to the entrance. You're not going to be happy. You'll notice how the fish tells you to play it when you leave. Yeah, go ahead, because otherwise it's just kind of like, I don't know, it's more complicated. So like this area, it's kind of tough to kind of go anywhere anyway. Go ahead and play it. And then you will warp to Mambo Pond, and if you need medicine, buy it. Otherwise, well, you're closer to where you need to be, which is getting closer and closer to the bay and such, and you're going to be haunted by a ghost for a while. And you won't be able to get to level 5 once you get to the, or if you have the ghost following you. So basically, do what the ghost tells you. Obviously, go to his house by the bay, which I talked about earlier, which is obviously abandoned and old and all that stuff. And then, he'll eventually say, yeah, take me to my grave. You'll take him to his grave. And then you get a secret seashell, woohoo, out of his house. But, at least you'll be done dealing with him. Catfish's Maw has no key. It is wide open. You just swim right into it, and you start playing that level. And by the way, the ghost's grave is the single, so you head kind of to the cemetery area, but not into the cemetery. Remember, there's a grave that's kind of all by itself in another one of those, kind of close by one of those caves again where you get another seashell or whatever. And yeah, how like it actually leads into the cemetery, the cave does. But no, don't go down don't go down to the stairs, just go kind of left over to the stone all by itself. That's how you, yeah, that's how you take the ghost where he wants to go, so to speak. After he tells you to take him to the grave, basically after he had, visited his old house by the bay. And in case I didn't play it yet, here is that cute song, The House by the Bay. Honestly, that's one of my favorite songs in the game because it's so quaint and it's like, it's like the good old day. It kind of has that good old days feeling. Like, too bad this, yeah, it's like you wonder how old Caholand Island is if somebody already lived their whole life and all that. So, makes you wonder how long the Windfish's dream really was, huh? Also, before you officially go to the Catfish's Maw, since you're close to the house by the bay, now go to the area where you can, you have to kind of jump in the air and hack at the bushes, to get in. It's kind of complicated and silly, but earlier we tried to go there, but we couldn't get in because we couldn't swim yet. Now that you can swim, you can go in there and get the second Mad Batter, which I recommend it to be bombs this time around. Go for it. Get those bombs. Now you can have 40 bombs instead of, 10 or something. So, yeah, we can finally get going. And now we will finally make our way into the Catfish's Maw. You get into Martha's Bay, as they call it, and swim right into the big giant mouth of a giant catfish-looking dungeon. Fun. Of course, to get in Catfish's Maw, you dive. So you probably figured that out by now by pressing the B button when you get to one of the edges, basically, and just kind of swim your way in. In this level, you get the hook shot, so you can finally reach some of those faraway places you couldn't get before. So that's your main treasure here. You'll notice the annoying monsters that have kind of like a shield-like front, like a metal shield type of front, basically. That's where the hook shot will come in handy. Obviously, you fought a couple of those earlier in the game, but now you can finally remedy that with the hook shot once you get there. The hookshot, of course, can pick up items that are far away as well. A lot like the boomerang, which, believe it or not, is a boomerang in this game. We'll talk about that later, though. This level has a very unique mini-boss. It's a giant Stelphos, where you actually fight him up to you fight him 4 times in a row, and then you eventually get the hookshot. So that's kind of the fun part of it. But you'll notice that there are what look like blocks on the 4 corners of the screen. If you get to one that has, like, say, 4 blocks or whatever, there's a block on all 4 corners of the screen. That's like where you fight him the 4th time. You see 3 blocks, you fight him the 3rd, and so on and so forth. So the first one I got to was the 4th one. So that will be the final showdown between you and the giant Stelphos. The crystals that you fight, yeah, oftentimes you can fill up your energy underneath those with hearts and stuff. So like the crystals, I didn't say fight, but you can break them, with your sword. So that's a nifty way of replenishing your energy if you're in need. And, you're probably going to be in need once in a while. With the giant Stelphos, well, he's very similar to the giant Stelphos in Zelda: Link to the Past. But, of course, this one's an actual mini-boss where you're going to fight him, like I said, 4 times. In that game, it's just kind of like I said, like a year ago around this time, to knock him down with your sword and blow him up with the bomb. Same thing. Just that one's just kind of a regular monster, where this time it's a, mini-boss, you can say. The other thing, to knock him down, you really want to do the whirlwind attack rather than stand around hoping he's going to swing his sword at you. It's much, much, much more efficient. And once you're finally done with your marathon battle back and forth, well, 4 different battles back and forth with the giant Stelphos, you finally get the hook shot and more doors open now. More paths open, you have more access to faraway distances, you can pull open bridges basically. There's like bridges that are, like you pull them open, kind of like a shade. It's fun stuff. Yeah, it can grab onto blocks, it can grab onto treasure chests, and you can also pick up faraway items. Enjoy your hook shot, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. What's really interesting is the Stelvos isn't even necessarily the mini-boss. He's an additional mini-boss. The real mini-boss are Goomas, basically. Like, remember those characters in Zelda 1 where you have to shoot them in the eye with an arrow? Well, in this game, same thing, but you can play the original song, like the Ballad of Windfish song on your ocarina, and their eyes will open up right away. That way you don't have to wait forever. So the boss for this one is a snake that kind of comes out of the wall. So you're kind of waiting for it to come out. There's fake versions of the snake as well. But, yep, you have to pull it out with the hook shot. So keep your distance. And when it kind of like puts its jaws out of there, it's kind of like catching a bass or something. But you pull it out and then hack away with your sword. It sounds kind of violent. And this now is the second half of the game. So every monster now leaves a creepy message like, are you sure you really want to defeat all of us? Because something weird's going to happen. The island's going to disappear. Uh-oh. He basically says, tisk, tisk, you don't seem to know what kind of island this is. What a fool. So as they say, rumor has it the island will disappear if you defeat all the nightmares and wake the windfish. Yeah, well, it's just a rumor for now. But now you go up and get your 5th instrument in the game. You've got the wind marimba. Ever heard of that before? Well, it's a marimba. Do enjoy the sound of it. So now, of course, you'll be staying in the same area, kind of close to the animal village. That'd be the eastern part of Koholint Island. You could elect to go down the river rapids, or whatever they're called, the water rapids, river rapids. You start at the northeast corner of the game, basically, or of Koholint Island, and enjoy that. It costs 100 rupees, and you can kind of get money there. It's fun. It's more optional. It's not important necessarily, but it's fun if you want to kind of say fill out the map, which I used to be obsessed with. Like every time you walk to a space, the map is now there instead of a block, so it's kind of fun to do that. Otherwise, the Face Shrine is just a little bit north of the Animal Village. So onward, young man and women. At this point, I would highly recommend you probably get to 20 seashells and go to the Seashell Mansion and level up your sword, because the Face Shrine is pretty tough. So the monsters there are very tough. You're going to deal with wizards and such. So and you have access now with the hook shot. So my recommendation, if you want to know any other locations, so I don't babble on and on about it, is zeldadungeon.net. Of course, you could Google it and such as well. And once you finally get that sword, you feel like $1,000,000. Obviously, 20 seashells, go to the Seashell Mansion, as you probably figured by now, and out comes the level 2 sword. Do enjoy the fireworks display. And good news, now that you have this sword, it is just like the Master Sword in Link to the Past, where if you have full power, it will shoot out. It'll shoot out kind of like a laser version of the sword. So, or it'll shoot out like a laser anyway. So you're stronger and you have more range. Congratulations. The game should be a bit easier from here on. Unfortunately, there is no level 3 sword after that, other than just getting I guess, kind of like the equivalent of getting a piece of power when you do the color dungeon. But we'll get to that later. Being we have the hook shot, we actually have an opportunity to wrap up the whole trading game, part of the kind of trading side quest, you can say, part of the game. So I think I left off with getting the hibiscus from Papa when he was lost in the mountains, not the woods, and you gave him the pineapple. So he gives you hibiscus. You go to that letter writing goat in the animal village. You then take that letter to who else? Mr. Right. And then he thinks it's like a Princess Toadstool or something. Her name is Christine, of course, the goat. He thinks that she looks like Princess Toadstool, which is not true at all, which is funny. Again, kind of like Web of Lies on the internet, and like Web of Lies, that was a TV show on I believe it was Discovery like the Discovery ID. That's what it was called, Web of Lies, where the picture's not who you're talking to. I think some of us that are a little bit older have been there once or twice, unfortunately. So then he gives you a broom, and it's like, a broom? Oh, okay, there's the lady that sweeps all the time. That's Alrira's wife. She'll either be right outside Alrira, depending on what part of the game you're at, like a little bit earlier. If you're like, not progressing too far, she'll be there like, oh, a new broom, can I have it? And you either go there, and if she's not there outside Alrira's house like she normally is, she'll be in Animal Village. So you give her the broom, and then she'll give you a fish hook, and then close to, kind of around that Martha's Bay where Catfish's Maw was, there's a bridge a little bit south of it. You just kind of, since you have the flippers, you jump off the bridge or, walk off the bridge, whatever, and then dive underneath the bridge, and then there's your fishing buddy, the guy that was, fishing in the maybe village. Yep, you give him the fish hook. He then magically pulls out the mermaid's necklace, who's swimming around in Martha's Bay looking for a necklace. You give her the necklace, she gives you a scale, and then you go to the mermaid statue, which should be nearby, like south of Martha's Bay a bit, which then opens up a cave underneath the statue, and finally, the end result of the entire thing is the magnifying lens. Yes, sir. There's a funny part where the alligator, the artistic alligator in Maybe Village says, what are you looking at with that magnifying lens? Stop it at once. So then you otherwise the multiple purposes of the magnifying lenses are, number one, you can go to that, the beach, down to the beach, there's the cave, or it's a one room, cave, whatever, that you bombed open a while back, or maybe you're going to bomb open now. And now there's actually something in there. It's a Goria who doesn't fight you. He's like a friendly one. He offers to trade you a boomerang, a very powerful boomerang, which can be very helpful, for your shovel. So for the rest of the game, you can either re-exchange the boomerang to get the shovel back, or you can, keep the boomerang or whatever back and forth with him. And if you say, oh, no, never mind, he'll be like, yeah, okay, whatever, which is kind of funny. And the other purpose of the magnifying lens is to go into the library and find out the directions of either the color dungeon and or the, like where you would push the tombstones for the color dungeon, and or the egg, the final part of the game at the end. So that's after you play the 8 instruments, not the 5 or 6 you have right now. In this case, 5 for where I'm at. But yeah, that's what you do. So, yep, I went on a little while. So yes, wrap up the trading game, and then you can finally head to Face Shrine. You've got your level 2 sword, and you have your magnifying lens. Isn't that cool? So you maybe have the boomerang if you want it. I think it comes in extremely handy in level 7 especially. But it comes in handy pretty much the rest of the game. In fact, it can kill the last boss in one hit. Yeah, it can kill the last boss in one hit. Yep. It's not cheating. You earned it. So do whatever you'd want at the end of the day. So we're going to head to the Face Shrine, but we're going to go to the south one. There's 2 Face Shrines. There's the one that actually is a level, but then there's like the Face Shrine kind of ruin, so to speak. You're going to go south there first because you got to actually get the key. So you can't get in without a key, you know what I'm saying? And then you read something very interesting on the wall. I'll put the soundtrack right here, right now for that one. So then once again, as you will read on the wall, that Koholin Island is actually a dream, and if you wake the windfish, it's going to vanish. And then the owl comes down and basically says, well, we don't know. We'll see what happens. We're not sure, actually, if it's going to happen or not. So if it's going to disappear or not, but we still have to wake the windfish. Well, let's find out, basically. Other than that, you have your key. Let's get our butts to the real Face Shrine and, well, be in for a challenge. Right away, you can tell the difficulty has ramped up. Oh yes, especially those wizard characters, which are everywhere. But if you get the boomerang before coming here, I think it can help you a bit. It's obviously an incredibly powerful weapon. It's nothing like Zelda 1, where all it does is kind of knock things out and maybe picks up items that are far away. This thing is a weapon. It can damage a lot of monsters pretty quickly. In the face shrine, your main treasure is the level 2 power bracelet, which can pick up large statues and other items. Also, there is a third song that's coming up, which the guy's name, ultimately, well, he looks just like Wart, so that's going to be entertaining. We'll talk about him in a little bit. It's in the signpost maze, which of course all you need really is items up to the hook shot to get there, to get to where you need to be. We'll talk about him later on, though. That's a song that wakes things up. You'll need that to wake up the dead rooster underneath the weather vane, and to wake up the turtle, the rock, the petrified turtle that leads you into Turtle Rock. So that's what the level 3 song comes up, or the third song in the game comes up, and it's Wart from Super Mario 2, just like you're seeing Shy Guys and other characters in this game as well. I do believe we're going to see Kirby very soon in level 7. So yeah, it's always fun to see shoutouts to other games. Let me tell you, when you get that level 2 bracelet, it's kind of exciting, because now you can really, kick some butt. There's also another door you're going to end up having to, if you're wondering why the heck I can't get in, well, you break through it by throwing a pot at it. It's not the first time in the game you wind up with that. In fact, there's multiple doors that you're going to break in. One of them you pick up a statue and smash the door, the other is just a pot. Also, one insanely valuable hint that I can give you, like little trick, is the wizards, they take multiple arrows, and it's a pain in the butt. But there's a trick. If you press, like, say the arrow is B and the bombs are A, like say you equip an arrow and a bomb, right? So you press B, you just kind of slide your thumb across the two buttons, like BA, really fast. It'll create like a missile effect where it'll be a arrow with a bomb on it, and it'll explode on contact, and you can wipe out the wizards much faster. And in some cases, you might even wipe out more than one if they're close by. You'll also run into a very unique situation where you see a couple of look like chest knight heads or horse heads or whatever. The whole thing is you pick them up and you throw them, and when they're both standing, you can get through the door. The trick to that is I have no idea. Maybe I really don't know. I think it's throwing from a distance. That's my guess, but it seems to not work all the time. It's annoying, but whatever. They really want you to use that bracelet in this level, don't they? Because even the treasure chest, where the nightmare key is, you have to break open with a pot. There's another very unique monster that kind of sucks you in. Well, you have to kill it. You can't just leave it there. You have to basically jump towards it and, whip your sword out fast. If it sucks you in, it'll take you back to the beginning of the level. The final boss of this level, anyway, is a face on the floor. You can probably guess what its weakness is. Bombs. Yeah, bombs. Doesn't mean he's easy or anything. He's a freaking earthquake with everything flying at you at once. But, yeah, he's beatable. And then you get another creepy, cryptic message when you beat him. Okay, listen up. If the windfish wakes up, everything on this island will be gone forever. And I do mean everything. So, yeah. Hint, hint, ladies and gentlemen. So now we can celebrate our victory by hearing the tunes of a choral triangle. That is the 6th instrument. All right, finally got that, and now our next goal is, of course, in the eastern Tall Mountain range. But first, we got to revive the rooster, who's underneath the weather vane in the middle of Maybe Village, where Marin used to sing. But first, in order to do that, we need to get the 3rd song in the game. So let's kind of head back close to Maybe Village, maybe use the Mambo Pond warp, basically, the number 2 song on the Ocarina. And then pretty much head south to what they call the signpost maze and work your way through that. Of course, buy some medicine if you need it as well. Common sense, but just in case, yeah. And what threw me off earlier is how Mambo, that's kind of that fish, basically, that gives you the 2nd song. Well, it's Mamu is the one that gives you the 3rd song, who looks just like Wart in Super Mario 2. So that's why I was getting thrown off. Like, Mambo, wait, what now? Yeah, it's Mamu. So that's who we're getting the 3rd song from. For 300 rupees, of course, but over the course of the game, I'm sure you probably built that up now that you've, don't need to buy expensive stuff anymore. Once you've got the bow and arrow, you're pretty much going to be rich the rest of the game because you don't need to buy anything expensive anymore. The signpost maze is pretty much self-explanatory. Some of the signs might just say start from the beginning. Well, find where the beginning is. That's all you got to do, basically. And then when it says an arrow pointing a certain direction, the signpost needs to line up exactly where the arrow is pointing. So if it's down, so if it's to the right, you go exactly to the right. You might take a screen to get there, but it's the one that is exactly to the right or exactly south or blah 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 blah. And if you accidentally talk to read the same sign twice, guess what happens? You get to start all over again. It's so cool. Isn't that fun? And of course, as they say, everything around you feels more alive, even unliving things. So pretty much put two and two together because obviously the rooster underneath the weather vane is dead. So when you go under there, now that you have the level 2 bracelet, all you do is push the weather vane and you get to go inside. And this skeleton of the rooster, after you play the song, comes back to life. Wahahaha. And the other purpose, of course, is to get into Turtle Rock level 8 later. Yeah, I said that twice already anyway. And of course, what you do with the rooster is you pick him up, hold him up over your head, and you can kind of float for a while. Yeah, you can go across a very wide crevice. So that's kind of the goal here in order to get to level 7. So once you get there, you'll see crevices that need to be floated across. Yeah, makes sense? Makes sense? Including getting the tail, or what do they call it? The eagle key as well. That's kind of the main purpose in a lot of ways. Now you go to the hen house, basically in the tall mountain range. You can talk to the guy. There's also, again, the cave very close to it has the eagle key, as Alrira will tell you as well. That's your friend that's always on the phone, basically. Kind of like, did you ever notice that people that are always on the phone are very antisocial? Yeah, it was even the case back in '93, at least according to this game. They were really on the ball, actually, when they made this, weren't they? Well, at the same time, I'd recommend you look at, you probably look to pick up some more heart pieces along the way as well, and like player's guides and such before you go there, because, I don't know, maybe you just don't have enough. And, once you get to level 7, it's starting to get kind of hard, so might as well get as many as you can, especially now that you have the hook shot and even the bird. That might help a bit. As I may have mentioned earlier, Zelda Dungeon is a great way to go. So, of course, obviously Googling it and such. So, because, if I go over every one of them, you're going to be like, okay, come on, Joey. I will give you advice on one of them. The one that's kind of like you kind of walk around outside Animal Village. Kind of, you see a cave that you bomb to get in. Right outside Animal Village, you're kind of walking outside the limits of it, whatever. There you see a rock, like a cracked up rock. That's where you use the arrow bomb combination to get that going, of course. Also, this might be not the worst time. It might seem kind of weird having the rooster with you doing this, but maybe if you haven't done it yet, maybe do the River Rapids thing if you want to. The tall heights. You kind of work your way, east, and then south a little bit. And then you'll see a little boathouse or whatever, and yeah, or a raft house, and then you can run that for $100 or rupees or whatever. You have money anyway. Who cares? Just go for it, and and eventually, when you're swimming around, you'll be able to find a heart piece by Canalet Castle, and of course, when you do that, you get to hear this cute song. So enjoy. Hope you enjoyed that. It's nothing special, but what the heck. You might have to go down it a couple times in order to, if you really want to be like a completist and like get all the squares opened so you get like the full map visible. I think it's cool. You just feel like you did something. So you go down it a couple times. What the heck, kind of like moving around the different directions of the rapids and such. It's not too complicated. It's not like the funnest thing you ever did in the world, but what the heck. After that, head up to where the hen house is and then into the cave that's close by it. And fly like a bird, as the owl advised, because once you get into the next room, you'll notice there's the only way across that massive crevice is flying like a bird with Le Rooster. Once you get that eagle key, off you go to the Eagle Tower, to the far east, the far northeast of the entire world of Koholint Island, the block. It's a block party on Koholint Island. No, I'm kidding. It is a big square, which is funny when you think about it. But yes, once you get there, hop in, you're ready for one of the tougher levels of the game. Ah, yes, the wonderful world of Eagle's Tower. And if you're playing on the DX, the Game Boy Color, you're playing the DX version, it looks better, honestly. I mean, obviously color overall is better, but this one just seems to kind of bring out more detail as far as I'm concerned. The main treasure here is the mirror shield, which reflects lasers, which you'll need to protect yourself from on occasion in this in the game, but also it somehow sort of protects you from wind, like when you're fighting against the large eagle, who is the final boss of the level. But it does protect you against laser type weapons as well. The mirror shield, which is the level 2 shield basically. This level also has a different feature than any of the others. You have floors. So welcome to Zelda, A Link to the Past. You have a bit of that kind of going on here with floors. So that's another interesting thing. I suppose other levels you're kind of going up and down a little bit, but this one is like the real deal. There's 4 floors, and it also involves you breaking pillars in order to make the 4th floor, which is basically irrelevant, collapse in onto the 3rd floor, and then you can get to the final boss. Pretty interesting and somewhat disorienting at times. Yeah, you pick up this ball basically with the you pick up this big, like what sounds like a metal ball, and smash it against pillars. Occasionally you have to backtrack and move back and forth to find where to actually get to the pillar and hit it. So there's a little bit of strategy involved in the level when it comes to that, including having to beat monsters a certain amount of time. You have to kind of, you have to open a treasure so you can use the hook shot to get to it, or at least trigger a treasure to appear. You can use the hook shot to open it, and once you open the treasure's there forever, regardless if the monsters respawn and have to start over or not in that case. But usually by the time you get to the treasure, you won't need it anymore in order to hook shot over to where you need to be. So yes, a little bit of strategy involved, generally speaking. There's also a part where the boomerang comes in insanely handy when you go upstairs and the crystal blocks are in the way basically, or the blocks that go up and down when you hit the crystal are in the way. You can throw the boomerang diagonally and hit the crystal to keep moving. Otherwise, without the boomerang, you wouldn't be able to do that. So it's a nice little nifty tricky for you going forward in this level. In fact, that's super duper early in the level, yeah, but still, it's nice. You don't have to waste time, figuring out where's the crystal, damn it. You also get that mirror shield insanely early in the game as well. That's actually right where you throw the boomerang diagonally. So all that happens in basically one little spot extremely early in the level. Nice, eh? Also be careful, the ball does have a bouncing, like a ricochet effect, so if you maybe throw it too closely to something where it could bounce into a hole, well, then it goes in the hole, and you got to go back to where the ball originally started, in the room where you have to pull the doors, the levers open and stuff. I don't know, it's not that hard, but it's irritating if, say, you get far in and you don't want to do all that. Yeah, so watch out. Another prominent character that's in other video games will show up in this level. Kirby, what do you think of that? Kirby, he'll try to suck you up real good, so be careful for Kirby. He's not a good Kirby in this case. And let's just say there is a part in this level where you do want to fall through the hole and land on the, the crystal blocks that are standing upward. You know how the up and down with the crystal ball that you hit, whatever, crystal switch, whatever. Like in Zelda Links to the Past, you can't do that. You can't walk on the top of I mentioned it before, but in this game you can. So do make note of that, because that's actually going to be a crucial part of beating this level. Otherwise, you're just going to get frustrated and stuck forever. Then you have a very unique mini boss in the middle who's kind of like connected to the main boss. He's, I believe, called the Grim Creeper. He's kind of like, he runs a bunch of bats, I guess. And when they come at you, you have to kill all of them in a row. Otherwise, they'll kind of revive and you just keep going. The battle will go on forever. When you kill all the bats, he gets really pissed off and says, I'll get my revenge, basically. And then that's when he triggers the big eagle when you get to the final battle, and then so on and so forth. Of course, when you do that, he says, you dirty rat, you killed my brother. So just brothers, it's just kind of funny, you dirty rat. So yeah, that's when you can finally get the nightmare key. But obviously you got to do the pillars first if you haven't done that yet, or wrap up whatever pillar or pillars you haven't smashed yet. Let me tell you, the satisfaction of seeing that tower crumble down a floor is wonderful. So you can finally get to the boss and all that good stuff. So this will be your first ever boss fight outside, because you're actually kind of going up outside the tower. So like level, yeah. So it's pretty interesting. Obviously, that Grim Creeper will say, I'm going to make you wish you were never born. The only way to really beat the eagle is to do the twirl attack. You have to hit him hard, really hard, and if you have the level 2 sword, you'll win fairly easily. If you do not, you're going to have one hell of a marathon. So make sure you have the level 2 sword before you even consider going into this battle. You basically want to kind of hold in between the two walls, basically as you're on the ladder, while charging up your sword to twirl as the eagle comes to you. So it's actually not a hard battle if you have level 2. So make note of that to yourself. And of course, again, like I said, level 2 sword, 3 twirls, the eagle's dead already. The character says, my energy gone, I lost, but you will be lost too if the windfish wakes. Same as me, you are in his dream. And that is all, folks, ladies and gentlemen, at least for this boss. You are now completed of 7 bosses in the game out of 8. Well, in terms of in terms of getting the instruments anyway. As now we'll get the 7th instrument, you simply jump down to the right, walk up, and it is a piano. Isn't that beautiful? Or I believe it's an organ of evening calm. Isn't that beautiful? Enjoy. Well, are you all set to go to Turtle Rock? Don't, unless you've already done the color dungeon. We're going to go there now, or that's the best time to go. I mean, you can go before 7. You can probably even go there before 6. But, I don't know, I put it off sometimes. What the heck? So, what you need to do is go to maybe Village. Go to the book that has, go to the book that you knocked off the shelves. It'll tell you which tombstones to push in the cemetery into which direction, which will then open up the color dungeon. Do enjoy, as you're going to hear Zelda 1 music in the color dungeon. Isn't that cool? Isn't this cool? It kind of harkens back to Zelda 1, the dungeon music, and I still haven't even played Zelda 1. In fact, that's going to be the last of the 4, the 4 Mount Rushmore Zelda games, as far as I'm concerned. Well, I guess in kind of a way, it's like saving the best for last, or at least in age and all that, George Washington. This one might be the Lincoln or the Teddy or something. We'll see. At the end of the day, though, it's time to continue into the color dungeon. They make absolutely sure that you have a color Game Boy or whatever the case is. But yeah, it's a Game Boy Color one way or another that you can see what color everything is. That's what this whole level is about. So matching colors and all that, and eventually you beat the level and you get an option. We'll get to that we'll get to that in a minute here. There's a golem mini-boss who's pretty tough. Kind of has that Roy Koopa effect where he jumps on the floor really hard and it kind of dazes you and there's rocks bouncing at you. It's not an easy little mini-boss, is he? But you do beat him with the sword. And the map also kind of looks like level 9 once you finally get it. It's definitely a miniaturized version of level 9, but it does look like level 9, that would be whatever the heck it's called, the Death Mountain Spectacle Rock. Yeah. There's another mini boss. One's like a kind of like a giant slime. You basically use the powder on that one, and then it makes it makes it vulnerable to sword attack. Without the powder, you can't do it. So it takes a couple tries, with the powder, and then hacking away at the slime. As for the final boss, it talks about how like blue is safe and red is danger, yellow is caution, and so on and so forth. Well, when it says take your time, no, just keep hacking away, and it's an insanely easy boss. So that's all you basically do. It's pretty funny, actually. They then give you an option. If you want offense, choose red, which is basically like having a piece of power. And if you want defense, choose blue, which would basically be like having the acorn. I will choose blue because power is great, but I'd rather have defense, I think, in this game. Your offense is fine. You already have the level 2 sword. I mean, your offense is pretty good. So I got the blue tunic. Woohoo. Yeah. Otherwise, it's yep. So now you're blue, which is kind of cool, actually. At the end of the day, because you didn't have this before in the couple original, or like the original game of the original version of the game. Sorry. So now we're going to go back up to Tall Mountain Range and head to the west this time. The west, where you're going to be hook shotting and all that stuff. You're also going to run into Marin, who apparently tried to wake the windfish with her song. So interesting. Also, you'll get the final piece of heart along your way to Turtle Rock or in Turtle Rock, like coming out of Turtle Rock. But I'm pretty sure it's on the way there. You can pick it up and all of that. And then, of course, you wake up the turtle in front of what looks like a statue of the turtle's neck and head, whatever, in front of a rock. And, well, you wake it up with the third song, basically. So, of course, to get to the west, you want to go up to where the hen house is, basically, and then head west. But also, again, you get to see a fun little thing where if you go in the hen house, now the guy has the flying rooster, and he's really happy and enjoying it. So, it's kind of cool. Unfortunately, after you save Marin, they leave you with a cliffhanger that is never answered. Ever, which is really sad. I've always wondered what she was going to say. So when you rescue Marin, basically by using the hook shot, kind of like Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves or something, when he rescues Maid Marian, whatever, in the burning forest, whatever. It's kind of like that, I guess. You rescue her, she says thank you, and then says, Link, I don't know how to say this, but, and then Tarin comes, interrupts her, saying, Marin, and then she says, never mind, I gotta go. So it's a cliffhanger that is never answered, which is a bummer. You always wonder what she was trying to say, I guess. And yes, she was attempting to wake the windfish by singing in front of the egg, and the monsters had put her there. That might be what she was going to say, but I don't know. Who knows? Also, along the way, when you pick up one of the stones or rocks, you get the final mad batter scenario. So basically, again, you sprinkle powder on the altar or whatever the heck it is, and then you maximize whatever item you hadn't before. In this case, it's the powder, because the powder, I never really had a problem with it, like not having enough. Where arrows and bombs, I mean, it's nice to have a ton. Of course, I never run out of those either, but because they always replenish your supply in levels and stuff, flying arrows, flying bombs, and flying powder even at times. But nope, you got all that maxed out. Woohoo. Be careful not to accidentally jump down into where the mysterious wood is. Obviously, there's parts where you need to jump down, but pay attention to the map. There's one part where you could accidentally jump down and be in the mysterious wood again, which would just waste your stupid time. There's the flame cannon in one of the caves. That's where you pull out the level 2 shield. Pretty self-explanatory, I would think. It deflects the fire and you walk against it, so on and so forth. So basically, you cannot get to Turtle Rock without the level 2 shield. And yes, you acquire the heart throughout the level of 8. I kind of figured that it's similar in A Link to the Past, where you get the final heart piece during the level. You kind of, it's one of those doors you go outside. There it is, on top of this little, mound or whatever. So there you go. Otherwise, once you arrive at Turtle Rock, you play the music, and then you get to hear a little dramatic scene, but an insanely easy mini-boss. Listen. Not gonna lie, I almost feel kind of mean. Like, it's like, really? Like, it's like you just wake it up and then kill it. That's kind of mean. So, I don't know. I don't really like that part, honestly. But I guess that's how it goes. So now into Turtle Rock we go. Listen to that. Turtle Rock. The very last of the actual levels, because the egg is just kind of walking through a passage and all that, and you'll find out the directions when you go to the library and such, because it's different in every game. I mean, it gets reset, and stuff, but I mean, yeah, there's different, combinations that are done again, every now and then, but yeah, you have to go there on your own. So at the end of the day, Turtle Rock, well, the treasure here is the flame rod. And, yep, it's interesting when you consider it's getting used against flame creatures in this very volcanic-looking level. You have lava everywhere, fire fire everywhere and such. So it's kind of interesting. We'll talk about the boss and all that when we get there. And yeah, be prepared to do a lot of backtracking and some aerial bombing as well to the Dajano snakes. That's a very entertaining part of the level. And of course, your final heart piece as well when you head outside during that Dajano battle or before it or whatever. Another unique feature in this level is what the owl will call the rock that rolls. Fill all the holes with the rock that rolls. This is the key. So you push this thing that's kind of like, I don't even know what it looks like a rock that rolls, I guess. It looks kind of like a table or something. You push it and you use the D-pad. But it's also kind of like playing the game of Snake or something, because you have to keep it going forward. If the if it runs into a quote-unquote wall, so to speak, you got to start all over again. And some of them are a little tougher than others. So be prepared to, again, have to do things more than once, off and on, throughout le level. Also, there's mini-boss after mini-boss after mini-boss after mini-boss. Be prepared for that as well. You will definitely be using song number 2 off and on through this level as well, because you might feel kind of trapped, or you might be trapped, so you need to go back to the entrance and such. So keep that in mind. Pretty much when you see stairs leading outside, that's where you finally get the final heart piece, and then you go in, go to the right and head to, well, yeah, you also can see a new warp hole if you need it, so that'll be there, but you don't really need it for very long. And you go into the other part of the cave, and there are the Dajano snakes, and then you aerial bomb them, which is kind of fun. You throw them from up there, because that way you can get the treasure chest that's going to be next to you, up in the second lever or whatever. You can kind of call it a second floor, but whatever you call it, like mezzanine section or something. I don't know. After backtracking and getting frustrated and realizing you need to find a crystal switch where you bomb your way into a room that's, you know, it's basically a room you never got to yet. You can bomb the wall to get there. It's fairly close to the beginning. You finally get the stupid fire rod, and it says burn baby burn, which is always kind of fun and exciting, I guess. But yeah, very valuable item. It's the only way to beat the level, because you got to be able to melt or burn the ice blocks to get from one passage to another and such. It's satisfying beyond a belief when you can fry those little flying devils. Oh my God, they're annoying. So it's nice to be able to hit them. You know what's the best part about the fire rod? Unlimited use. You have no magic meter. Oh yeah. Then your level boss looks a lot like Fry Guy from Super Mario 2, so more Super Mario 2 references. Maybe not quite like him, but pretty close. And it's funny, I guess you're going to be like Huey in DuckTales. Let's fight fire with fire! And that's pretty much what you're doing, fighting fire with fire. And yes, he really does look like Fry Guy. Yes, so like I meant, fighting fire with fire, yes, the fire rod. Not kidding. And then he leaves you with this cryptic and final message. Crackle! Why did you come here? If it weren't for you, nothing would have to change. You cannot wake the windfish. Remember, you too are in the dream. And he passes away. He gave up the ghost, and thence thou shalt get the thunder drum. Do enjoy, ladies and gentlemen. Sheesh, that might cause a magnitude 8. Well, anyhow, let's head to the library in Maybe Village, because you probably don't, you probably don't know the exact direction. You're going to have to go to the egg. And then, of course, after you do that, you go to the book that before said The Secrets of Koholint Island. Well, that's when you know the passage of the egg. And remember, it's different every time you play. So there'll be repeats, of course, but it's not going to be like back to back to back or something. You know, like it's not permanently the same thing. That's the whole point. So once you get that, rock and roll, and then you head up to the egg, and you get to hear the instruments all play together in unison for the first time, because at the end, you'll play it again one more time, spoiler alert, to officially wake up and wave goodbye completely. So, sad stuff. And, to your surprise, the egg bursts open, or at least the front of it does, and the owl hath come. He says, the time has come, the windfish awaits. Enter the egg. Hoot, hoot. Now, if the passage direction that you got in the library was a little bit confusing, take a picture with your smart device, your cell phone, whatever. That's a good way to go about it. Or back in the old days, you write it on a little piece of paper. That something that we used to call papered, we used to write on with a pen. Okay, I guess that still exists. In you go and listen to that kind of semi-creepy music. It's kind of cool, actually. Now, of course, you fall intentionally, and then you walk in the passages that they told you to do. It's not too complicated. Hope you didn't mind the music. Actually, I think it's kind of cool for the most part. For the most part. And I hope you found your way through it. Most of the time, it's not too hard, and of course, when you know, the passage will change. You'll see like a different room, so to speak, and you'll fall down that hole. Otherwise, you're going to be repeating forever and ever and ever and ever and ever and ever. And then you will meet up with the angry nightmares that are saying, yep, we were here. So they say, we were born of nightmares to take over this world. We made the windfish sleep endlessly. If the windfish doesn't wake up, this island will never disappear. We would have been the masters of this place, but you had to come here and disrupt our plans. Heh. You can never defeat us. Let's rumble. So yes, that's the, you get to hear the creepy music first, and then into the real final battle music. Do enjoy. So in a lot of ways, it kind of has a Mega Man 1 through 3 vibe. The first, where you're playing like things from the past. The first is a big giant slime. Basically, you use the powder on that thing. So hack away, at least a few times until that one disappears into the next nightmare of your past. Ooh. And by the way, if you chose the blue armor, whatever, you're not going to die. Just don't worry, you'll be fine. Believe me. The next nightmare is Aghanim. So just like a year or so ago, you reflect the magic back to Aghanim. But of course, there's the other spells that don't reflect back. But again, you can do it with, you can actually reflect with the shovel as well, but that's kind of weird. Let's just say the boomerang makes this battle easier at the end if you want to. But we'll get back to that in a moment. I would say Aghanim in this game is a bit easier than he is in A Link to the Past. The next one is the big giant worm where you hit in the back of the tail. That sounds very familiar as well. So battle. It is kind of funny how this game and the other one as well, it's like flashing, like the part where you hit it. It's like, right here, stupid, hit me here. I mean, okay, sure, no problem. And then you get Ganon. Ooh. So what's actually insanely effective against Ganon without having to do a damn thing, basically, well, yeah, you're going to get hit probably, unless you're like one of those legends that can never get hit. The whirl. Use the whirlwind attack. Very easy. Eh? And then you get this worm-type thing that comes right at you, and I mean right at you. You can kill it in one hit with the fire rod. Otherwise, you're fudged with the F-bomb. Once you kill that thing, though, the final battle emerges. It's like a shield type of thing with like worm-type things that spin around. And it's like a Goma, basically, where so you basically want to be equipped with a feather for sure to jump over the things that move around. Like spiky type tail type thingies that move around. Maybe they're like a morning star. I don't know. You can't really see it well because it's a nightmare. It's like, those dark, creepy things that you see in those paranormal type. That's what basically this whole nightmare final battle is. Like where it's a black mist, whatever. But no, once it opens its eyes, he is vulnerable to attack from either your arrow, which takes a few hits, or the boomerang, which takes one. Now, you can make your choice if you want to just kind of have fun and battle away for a little bit, which I tend to enjoy more, instead of just the easy throw the boomerang and the battle's over. So, it's up to you. I'm going to go with the arrow. What the hell? And by the way, the battle music returns to the, mini-boss music. Weird. I don't know why, but this is definitely the hardest boss in the game. At least, pretty much. It's the hardest of these final bosses. Here's the music. It takes a good 15 hits or so, so maybe you will want to use the boomerang, but what the heck. The final line from the creature is with that same creepy music in the background. We won't go there again. It says, "This island is going to disappear. Our world is going to disappear. Our world. Our world." And here the fireworks display, well, not really. It just kind of fades away and dissipates like shadow figures do in paranormal stuff. And then you hear the message, or you see the message, "Link, you have beaten all the nightmares. Climb the stairs before you." And this awesome music plays. And it'll also be followed by another beautiful song. I'll play them in tandem. Call me weird. I find it gorgeous. I really do. I know it's just a Game Boy game and all that. It's just a Game Boy game. Like, what are you talking about? No, it's gorgeous. And if you're playing the color version, particularly, well, if you're playing the color version on a Game Boy Color or on the, like emulation or whatever, no, yeah, whatever the word is, no condemnation from me anyway. It looks so nice. It does. It's like these colored clouds and everything. It looks really cool. And if you're playing the Game Boy version, that's fine too. The original Game Boy, but it's the same game, at least except for the little camera character, the little camera mouse and such, and all that. Oh, and the color dungeon, hello. But it just sounds like music on a starry, starry night in like May or whatever, like beautiful time of the year. May, June, maybe late April or something. And just looking up at the stars and seeing, falling stars moving around in the sky, and maybe satellites or God knows what else. Or maybe you get to see the Northern Lights or something. Or Aurora Australis, the Southern Lights, depending on what part of the world you're from, because there are people in the Southern Hemisphere listening, and I thank all of you so much that do listen. Let's get to the owl. Hoot, young lad, Link, the hero. You have defeated the nightmares. You have proven your wisdom, courage, and power. That sounds familiar. As part of the Windfish's spirit, I am the guardian of his dream world. But one day, the nightmares entered the dream and began wreaking havoc. Then you, Link, came to rescue the island. I have always trusted in your courage to turn back the nightmares. Thank you, Link. My work is done. The Windfish will wake soon. Goodbye, Hoot. And then he disappears, which is actually very sad. I like the owl, and it's like you always wondered, was he good or bad? Well, he was good. The Windfish looks amazing in all the different colors. If you have, again, if it's on Game Boy Color, but it's still a cool looking graphic as far as I'm concerned for a Game Boy game. And then he says, I am the Windfish. Long has been my slumber. In my dreams, an egg appeared and was surrounded by an island with people, animals, an entire world. But verily, like the Bible, right? But verily, it be the nature of dreams to end. When I dost awaken, Cuhullin will be gone. Isn't that sad? Only the memory of this dream land will exist in the waking world. Someday thou may recall this island. That memory must be the real dream world. Yeah. Come, Link. Let us awaken together. And he kind of dissipates away. But basically he's like he's a whale. He's a gigantic flying whale. Play the 8 instruments. Play the Song of Awakening. And, well, we'll play that song again, but the more ending version of it, if you know what I mean. It's kind of sad. You just watch everybody disappear. Well, here you go. I mean, I'm telling you, the graphics on this game are outstanding for a Game Boy game. They really are, especially for a 30-year-old Game Boy game or 31 years old. The way the water effect kind of pushes you away, kind of like a whale coming out of a gigantic whale, and then there you are, floating in the ocean on a log by yourself. Okay, like from your shipwreck, and yep, you're just waking up now. Isn't that weird? I think you'd be sunburned beyond belief. You got these very large clouds in the background, and the nice music continues, and you get to hear the continued ending music. But the best part is something my brother made fun of all these years ago, the first time I beat it, is okay, well, that's a happy ending. You're floating all by yourself in the middle of the ocean. That's wonderful. Absolutely great. Yeah, so, okay, do you just like stay out there and die or what? That's kind of random and kind of sad, isn't it? Also, again, the ending is extremely sad. Way back the first time I played the game, because I didn't know the real ending yet. The first time, obviously, you're playing through, and there weren't spoiler alerts. At least, thankfully, I didn't run into one. I kind of got a tear in my eye a little bit. I'm not much of a crier or anything. I'm a little bit of an emotional person, but I don't cry. I just don't. It's not my cup of tea, but I kind of did a little bit. You know how you get that way when it's like the ending of something, or like you're watching a movie or something, a little bit, everything disappeared. Man, all these people that had plans and all that, it was like, really? They're living their life and then just gone. Like they don't even realize what's happening and they just simply cease to exist. It's kind of weird and sad, isn't it? Again, the background outstanding. Kind of reminds me of Dragon Warrior a little bit with the clouds in the background. Pretty large clouds. They look like cumulonimbus clouds, and then they shrink down into the smaller cumulus clouds. There's my weather nerd side which I love. In this version, there's the 1998 staff and 1993 staff, which goes faster when it comes to the credits and such. And if you were fortunate enough to play all the way through the game without dying once, somehow, some way, Marin's wishes came true. She has become a seagull. She's real. She survived the dream, and she's a seagull now. Isn't that cool? So, and then you get to see an image of her in the background, too, with this little song playing. So, it's pretty cool stuff. Absolutely awesome at the end of the day. This game is, in the Game Boy world, absolutely Mount Rushmore. It may very well be George Washington. Now, of course, yeah, it's right at the end screen. It's when, yep, I did do it. I thought I did. Marin is kind of floating like a spirit in the background, like her image, and then she becomes a seagull. It's very cool, honestly, so I'm happy for her. I would rather be a human being than a seagull, but it's better than nothing, I guess. But the development team would like to thank you for playing, and I want to thank them for making the game. I really do, because like I've been saying, this is a Mount Rushmore game in the Game Boy world. This might even be a Mount Rushmore game overall. It's that good of a game. Arguably, it's my favorite Zelda game ever made. And in fact, for many years, I said it was my favorite Zelda game. Can you believe it? This one? Yeah, absolutely. Just the depth of it. There's personality to it, and the music is just so good. It's so good. For a Game Boy game, it's unbelievable. The graphics are good. The sprites are mediocre at best, but that's Game Boy. That's probably one of the biggest weaknesses of Game Boy is the sprites. But the background images and such, not too bad. Obviously, the music quality, outstanding for a Game Boy game. Off the charts, honestly. Probably the best, outside of Final Fantasy Adventure, for music and everything, basically. Music, storyline, everything. This game and Final Fantasy Adventure, I think, are the two best Game Boy games ever made. Ever. And that's why I don't really want to go with these two back-to-back. I really want to review Final Fantasy Adventure. I play it every March. Every single March, because I just love it. This game I play kind of more random times, usually more in the, I don't know, could be in the fall or the spring. This year it's kind of almost spring, kind of around that time of year, because again, I'm a strange person. But Adventure I tend to play every March. It just kind of goes with the vibe leading into, Easter and all that into spring, and Secret of Mana, April. So at the end of the day, yeah, Final Fantasy Adventure, obviously, again, is, a legendary Mount Rushmore type of game, but I don't want to put it back to back with this one. I'm going to probably wait for like a year for this one. I keep going back and forth what direction I want to go next. I might even go with Secret of Mana, but at the end of the day, we're going to look more into fan interaction and such before feedback segment before I come back. But this game is 5s all across the board. If you're going with like a star system, it's gameplay 5, replay value 5, graphics 5. For a Game Boy game, music 5, story 5. The overall feel and gameplay, overall grade 5. 5 out of 5, 100% world class. It is the best Game Boy game of all time. Arguably, well, but otherwise the only other Game Boy game that is the best of all time is Final Fantasy Adventure at the end of the day. I do have some ideas of where I want to go. I just might be sticking with Game Boy. One more Game Boy game. Otherwise, go for the big grand salami, big giant enchilada of Secret of Mana this year. Maybe. I'm having a hard time. I mean, that game it's going to be a big review, and I got to do the best I can to not make it too big. I mean, even this one's over 2 hours, so shame on me a little bit, but it's better than it would have been. Like look at Zelda 2 last year. That was crazy long. If it's the one game I'm thinking of for Game Boy, it won't be as long as this one, most likely, but it'll be a very fun, memorable game that I tend to play in spring every year. So I tend to if I play it. So I know I'm rambling and babbling. It'd be a weird start to a series of games. It'd be a weird choice, but we'll get there in a moment. With that said, I've babbled enough about this. Now it's time to hear from you out there in the feedback segment. Yes, feedback segment. Always a pleasure to be back on board with you with this. At VGF Podcast is the direction to go on X or whatever we like to call it. Unfortunately, it's going to be relatively small, as it usually is at this stage. Eventually, the show is going to pick up a little bit more. It's been doing better. Now, don't get me wrong. The show's been doing better. The Final Fantasy Mystic Quest is doing better than probably the last, I don't know, like back into last summer. Probably all the way back to Centipede, which actually is doing, surprisingly well, considering it's just a small game. But obviously it's Centipede. It's obviously very popular. So there's a reason for that one to do well at the end of the day. Even though, again, it's like, sometimes that's what you want. Something simple, something fun. And we're going to probably go with something more simple than something super big and complicated. But it's not a bad kind of simple. It's a fun kind. Now that I've babbled enough, I want to thank Tanae out of New Zealand and, of course, Derek Felska out of Wisconsin for retweeting the most recent episode, or reposting, I guess they call it now, X-post. I don't know. I'm never going to say it the same. Derek Felska gives us some semi-unfortunate news here. Well, it's unfortunate, generally speaking. I never had a Game Boy. It's like, oh, man, I never had a Game Boy. I had friends that had it, but I can't remember them playing Zelda Link's Awakening. I wish I had something to contribute, but I do not. How dare you? How dare you? Let me tell you something. Okay, sorry. I'm just kidding. Oh, didn't have a Game Boy? Oh, I know. I was obsessed with it. I was absolutely obsessed with the Game Boy. I got it for my birthday in 1999. I'll probably, again, do an episode on game systems. I'll probably do episodes on specific game systems in the future and talk about, when I got it and my feelings and stuff. It'll be, this episode is the Super Nintendo, that type of thing. I'm going to do that sometime, probably starting off with the NES one of these days, or even the Atari 2600, or VCS is originally called. Anyhow, but I really love that games can be put on HD platforms now. Obviously, retro games in HD look so freaking good. I mean, it's really cool. So, obviously, let's just say the Super Nintendo Mini, the NES Mini, the PlayStation Mini, the Sega Genesis Mini 1 and Mini 2. Yeah. Nudge, nudge, hint, hint. So, we'll get back to that. Derek Felska says, I think I was saying, totally understand. I'm surprised this game doesn't have more reaction. I thought this was an absolute gem, and you can probably tell I felt that way. Derek responds with, I think the nature of RPG series, even in action RPG in general, people either jumped in and invested time and effort to play those games, or they just simply didn't. Yep. I remember watching my cousin play Zelda without a strategy guide. It was a bit intimidating to just pick up and play. Yeah, Zelda 1, yeah, you can get lost real easy. And if you're thinking second quest, you're going to get lost. You're going to get lost in Zelda 2 because there's those one-way doors that are, like invisible doors, like walking through a wall, kind of like that. And that's where they got the idea for Zelda 2, where there's false walls. There is a false wall. I always imagine that town, that's it. That villager or whatever you'd call the person, the bigger guy that says, in the palace there is a false wall. I just imagine him having that accent for some reason. So yeah, like Zelda 2, like imagine trying to navigate through the Grand Palace or Great Palace or whatever it is. Like when you've done it before, yeah, but without the NES Atlas or whatever, good luck. It's not easy. Next, Derek. Okay, I already read that one. Anthony Kren says, "I loved this one. I wish you offered some feedback on the game, though. I mean, I'm glad you loved the game, but say something. Say what you liked about it. So, in case you're listening, feel free to throw that in anytime. I don't care if it's a year from now, if the game, like I reviewed a game a year ago, and you have a lot to say about it. Jump in, baby, please. Like say Centipede back in the summer." Millipede back in the summer, Secret of Evermore, which is about a year ago now, and I'm so proud of them doing that review in terms of it was so freaking enjoyable, and it meant so much to me to do that game because it's one of the underrated games in the history of the planet, in my opinion. So with that said, I believe that's the end of the feedback. Unfortunately, the Instagram account, because you gotta have Instagram nowadays, is video game _flashback. So it's like, just two words. So you combine video game as, one thing, _flashback as one thing. Look it up. Please give it a follow. It's kind of lonely and stupid still, but those of you that have followed, thank you so much. Thank you. So, yes, it'd be great to have you on there. But, of course, obviously, X post or Twitter, whatever we call it, hop on board. I really want to hear from you. If you've played these or whatever, please say something. Please say something. Even if it's just, yeah, I mean, it's the best Zelda game ever or something, like whatever it is. But yeah, please jump on board and conversate. I know you're out there. There are some listeners. Obviously, it's picking up. Yes, it is gaining some traction. It's going from 13 people to 15. No, I'm just kidding. It's not quite that low, but sometimes it feels like it. But you get the idea. Even 15 people listening to me, I guess it's a huge pleasure. Like at work, you're lucky to get one person to listen to you for 5 seconds before they're, turning their head and talking to the other person because they don't give a rat's behind what you have to say. It's always fun and pleasant. It makes you feel like $1 million when people do stuff like that. But yeah, welcome to the planet of Earth, ladies and gentlemen. When you just, it is what it is. But, well, this is where we can hopefully all kind of get along and be friends and all that and talk about these classic games that we love so much. Well, I have a very colorful game flashing in front of the screen in front of my eyes right now that you don't see. It is the next game I'm going to review. The decision has been made behind the scenes, so to speak. A couple people have talked about, and it's just like, you know what? Yeah. Okay, so I will be leaving the RPG department for a little bit. Obviously, RPGs are my favorite platform, but might not be everybody's, that type of thing. Obviously, there's side-scrolling platformers. There's action RPGs, which is obviously like Zelda, but it's still kind of an RPG. Then there's side-scrolling beat-em-ups. Then there's point and click, kind of like Deja Vu, of course. That's a point and click, and even Jurassic Park CD. I don't see myself doing that one anytime soon or ever, but we'll see. There's puzzle games like Tetris, Schmetris, and Dr. Mario, and blah, 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 blah. And then, of course, there's classic arcades, which are often side-scroller or beat-em-up or space shooters and such. So I've done a bit of those already. And now we're going to go to a side-scrolling beat-em-up. It is not going to be Super Mario Land 2. Obviously not going to be Final Fantasy Adventure or Secret of Mana. Someday, very soon, one of those two absolute frickin' gems is going to be on the mic with me here. But we're going to venture into a game I did not mention a segment ago. We're going to go to the Sega Genesis with Golden Axe, the original Golden Axe, Sega Genesis, and thank you, God Almighty, that I have the Sega Genesis Mini so I can play it on the big screen with looking a lot better than on some regular, on regular standard def on the HD. It looks like crud. So full-on HD Golden Axe, I cannot wait. Sega Genesis Mini, I had to do a review on that just in general one of these days. Might as well. It's and the Mini 2. And unfortunately, what we missed out on in the Mini 2, but thank God I got rescued with that, with the Super Console Pro X, with some of those Sega CD games that we did not get, the Super Gems that I talked about, and I played the game back last September. That would be Lunar, the Silver Star, and Lunar 2, but I haven't played that one in, eons. Now that I've babbled enough, Golden Axe will be the next game. Of course, side-scrolling, beat 'em up. We're going to be battling the Nephilim Giant, Death Adder, and some of the other Nephilim-type giants you'd see in this game. Obviously, just giants, like biblical-sized bad guys in this game. And I don't think there's any doubt that that's probably where they got the idea for some of these characters. I mean, just look at Death Adder, and imagine like a giant in the Bible, like biblical times. That's Death Adder. It is. So, with that said, and Deathbringer, but that's a spoiler alert. Anyhow, with all of that said, I hope all of you enjoyed this review. I'm sorry that I babbled too much. Obviously, everything's longer than it probably should be, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it, trying to be better and better about all that. But with all of that said, Golden Axe is on deck. Hope you enjoy it. There's no way this next game is going to be as long of a review, but it's going to be a hella fun, and I hope you do enjoy. Until next time, stay retro. That's going to be my new closing segment, because Game On, that's the Irate Gamer. So shout out to the Irate Gamer, Chris Boris. Game On, Irate Gamer. I'm good, and I might talk about him on some shows as well. Maybe I'll get him as a guest someday. That'd be unbelievable. But so our new closing slogan is stay retro. Take care, everybody, and stay retro.